Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arman Markarian, and I have the pleasure of giving you a very warm welcome to the 8th UN Tourism Global Conference in Wine Tourism. Welcome to Yerevan and welcome to Armenia. I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all those who traveled to Yerevan to join this conference, as well as to all the participants who came from around the country. Joining here in Yerevan, we welcome more than 300 participants from over 25 countries, and many more following us through UN Tourism's YouTube channel. To our online participants who are watching us on YouTube, wherever in the world you are, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining us. For our participants in the room, please remember, interpretation is available on Channel 1 for English, Channel 2 for Spanish, and Channel 3 for Armenian. We also encourage you all to join the conversation on social media and use our official hashtags. Hashtag GCWT 2024, hashtag 8GCWT, and hashtag Wine Tourism. In just a moment, we will proceed with the official opening ceremony of the 8th UN Tourism Global Conference in Wine Tourism, which this year has chosen to focus on how wine tourism can revive traditions and strengthen the connections between wine, culture, and heritage. And what a better place together than Armenia, a country with such rich and ancient winemaking traditions, home to the world's oldest wineries and known for its unique history and commitment to preserving this heritage. Actually, as you have already noticed, today we're showcasing a wine exhibition from 25 fantastic wineries representing the 6 wine regions of Armenia. These wines truly reflect the rich diversity of our climate, history, and traditions. At lunch, you will have the opportunity to taste these amazing wines and to chat with wonderful producers. Okay, let's start. Since 2016, UN Tourism has been organizing this conference, which has since visited destinations such as our dear neighbors Georgia, Argentina, Moldova, Chile, Portugal, Italy, and Spain. Now it's Armenia's turn to host this global event and to celebrate its heritage, flavors, and the modern wine industry. I'm confident that the space we'll share today will allow us to reflect on and learn from the history and the new trends in wine tourism around the world, so that we live transformed and ready to continue growing the industry in our own regions. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to officially open our conference, I would like to invite for his welcome speech, Deputy Mayor of Yerevan, Mr. Levon Hovanesyan. Please give him a warm welcome.
Մեծարգո ՄԱԿ-ի զբոսաշրջության համաշխարհային կազմակերպության քարտուղար, պարոնայք եւ դեսպաններ, հարգելի կառավարության անդամներ եւ հարգելի հյուրեր։ Մեծ ուրախությամբ իհարկե ողջունում ենք բոլորիս Երևանում ՄԱԿ-ի գինու զբոսաշրջության այս հեղինակավոր համաժողովի անցկացման կապակցությամբ։ Ցանկանում եմ նշել, որ հյուրընկալ Երևանի համար գինու սիրահարներին, ոլորտի փորձագետներին եւ առաջատարներին ոլորտի մեկ հարկի տակ համախմբելը պատիվ է եւ հաճելի փորձառություն, ինչը իհարկե սիրով կիսում ենք երևանցիների եւ մեր քաղաքի հյուրերի հետ։ Գինին շատ ավելին է, քան պարզապես խմիչքը։ Գինին նաև մեր մշակույթի, ավանդույթների, պատմության արտահայտումն է։ Հայաստանը եւ հատկապես Երևանը առանձնահատուկ տեղ է գրավում այս համատեքստում։ Լինելով աշխարհի հնագույն գինեգործական կենտրոններից մեկը, Հայաստանը ունի խաղաղագործության հազարամյա պատմություն։ Այստեղ արտադրվող գինիները մեր նաև ինքնության,
so this is the reflection of our connection with our soul, with our land and soil. Today's event is the junction of the innovation and traditions, the junction where new and old things come together, and all of us are united with this very
Գինու համաշխարհային արդյունաբերությունը զարգանում է բավականի արագ Եվ այս համաժողովը
moves
գիտելիքի եւ
fast,
լավագույն փորձի փոխանակման
moves
համար
forward quite
անգնահատելի
fast, and this kind
հարթակ է։
of event is a
Այն
really
մեզ համար
fantastic
հնարավորություն է
platform
նոր
for
հորիզոնների
promoting these
բացահայտման,
trends. It's a great
կապերի
opportunity
ամրապնդման
for
եւ գինու
seeing new
զբոսաշրջության կայուն
horizons, to
ապագան
establishing
ապահովելու
new links, and to
նպատակով
have sustainable
ջանքերի
development of
համատեղման համար։
winemaking in the future.
Գինու զբոսաշրջության ոչ միայն լավագույն գինիների համտեսումն է, գինու
It's not just tasting the best wines, but it is also a very good chance to absorb the culture around those wines, the hospitality, and this is a great honor to host you here in Yerevan. And Yerevan is one of the places of the ancient civilization and modern life, and the people, they can enjoy here the gastronomic environment of Yerevan and enjoy the great traditions. Also, you can discover the treasures of our country, to interact with the winemakers, and to feel right away the passion that is in each glass of Armenian wine. I want to let you know that Yerevan municipality supports by all means these kind of events supporting winemaking. Every summer we have a special festival called Yerevan Wine Days. It becomes a real festivity for Yerevan and for the guests of our capital city. And Saryan Street is where usually the wine festivals are taking place, is part of the tourism map of Yerevan. At the same time, I would like to extend my special thanks to UN for selecting Yerevan as a place of this conference, and this not only support this event for the partnership, but also will inspire us for further development of wine tourism in Armenia and in the world. I want to avail to this opportunity and extend my gratitude to all organizers and all participants, and wish a very fruitful conference and very nice time in hospitable Yerevan. Mr. Ovasyan, would you please take place podium?
Now I would like to invite a representative from Partners, an organization that has been instrumental in advancing wine tourism, the International Organization of Vine and Wine. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sophie Palas, Director of External Relations at IOV, to the stage. Please.
Thank you very much. Dear Minister, distinguished Director General, dear Deputy Mayor, esteemed colleagues, and dear participants, it is both a privilege and honor to address you on behalf of the Director General of the International Organization of Vine and Wine, Mr. John Barker, who began his 5-year mandate on January 1st of this year. As you may know, our intergovernmental organization, who is the scientific and technical reference of the global vine and wine sector, is celebrating 100 years of existence. Due to the demanding schedule of this centenary year, unfortunately, Mr. Barker was not able to attend this conference. However, he sends his warmest regards, wishes for the success of this important event, and he sincerely hopes to be able to come in Armenia in the near future. We are deeply honored to be part of this opening ceremony of this prestigious conference, which underscores the significance of wine tourism in vine-growing countries. Our presence demonstrates also the strong ties that have been created between the UN Tourism and the YV since 2021. There are ties of friendship, of common ground of interest, of common member states, but above all, concrete works, particularly in the areas of data collection and measuring the phenomenon of wine tourism with, as an example, the creation of new economic indicators, which will be published by the end of the year. This partnership has proven to be effective and fruitful. In light of the success we achieved so far, I'm pleased to announce that we have renewed earlier this year our Memorandum of Understanding with UN Tourism for an additional 2 years, extending it until 2026. Among other axes, we look forward to working together again to revise, for example, the definition of the sustainability in wine tourism. Then we would like to thank warmly the UN Tourism for the achievements and for the ongoing projects that will continue to accompany the development of the wine tourism in the world. We are especially glad to be here in Armenia for at least 2 reasons. Armenia is one of the most ancient wine producing countries in the world, dating back millennia. And the second reason is, as a consequence, Armenia is one of the most richest genetic patrimony of vine varieties domesticated for vinification. And this biodiversity is extremely important for the future of our sector and for its capacity to adapt to the climate change. Armenia is a key member of our organization, and its dedication to the wine industry in recent years is remarkable. This country is home to about 17,000 hectares of vineyards dedicated to the cultivation of both table and wine grapes. If you look at the numbers, it is small, 0.2% of the total planted vineyards in the world, but it is big in history, in heritage, in indigenous grape varieties, almost 500, and in future developments. And I am convinced we all will experience this potential during the technical visits tomorrow around wine tourism. About the importance of wine tourism. Wine tourism, as we all know, is a thriving and dynamic sector with tremendous potential. At the OIV, we are fully committed to supporting the development of wine tourism, as it is clearly reflecting in our strategic plan. One of the objectives of our current strategic plan is to encourage and contribute to the development of wine tourism, viticultural landscapes and terroirs, emphasizing their importance for society at large. This objective is maintained and reinforced in the forthcoming strategic plan of the OIV for the 2025 and 2029 years and this strategic plan will be voted at our General Assembly in next October. In particular, a strong emphasis will be given on the impact of wine tourism on the sustainable development of the wine sector. Wine tourism is more than just a source of economic benefit for the wine industry. It plays a vital role in fostering local and rural development. By promoting wine regions as travel destinations, we not increase only the visibility of the wine sector, but also create virtuous dynamics between ecology and economy. In addition, wine tourism allows to express and to transmit all the different dimensions of the cultural identity of a region: gastronomy, crafting, arts, music. When done responsibly, wine tourism not only contributes to the financial success of wine regions, but also helps preserve their unique heritage and landscapes for future generations. The OIV advocates for comprehensive tourism strategies that go hand in hand with sustainable wine production. These efforts will generate robust economic growth, benefiting wine producers, rural communities, and society at large. In closing, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for being part of this important event. I'm confident that this conference will serve as a remarkable opportunity to exchange ideas, learn from one another, and collaborate on shaping the future of wine tourism together. As you probably know, the global wine and wine sector faces numerous challenges, such as the impact of geopolitical instabilities, extreme climatic events, or shifts in consumers' preferences. Wine tourism offers a new path to cope with these turbulent times, and I'm convinced it will play even more an important role in the future. Thank you all, and I wish you a successful and inspiring conference.
Thank you, Ms. Palas. Please have your seat on the stage, please. Thank you. Now I would like to welcome on the stage Secretary General of UN Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Zurab Porolikashvili.
Good morning to everyone. I'm very happy, as I mentioned yesterday, but I see that today we have much more attendance today to be in beautiful country, which is Armenia. I was talking with everyone, and almost 80%, dear Minister, I think, are first time in this beautiful country. And 80% the people who mention it, they told that, it's a pity that we are only 2 days, we will come back, or we will extend our stay in the country. Please do it, because it's impossible to see the beauty of this country in 1, 2, or 3, or even 1 week. So you are in the right place. I will go now to the protocol part. Dear Minister, thank you for warm welcoming. I was looking, and this is first time we are organizing this event, this conference with a new logo. As you know, from the January we changed the logo, and we are UN Tourism. Before it was UNWT, so it's historical day that the first UN Tourism wine conference. But it's 8 years that we are celebrating, and every year we see that attendance, the number of participants, number of countries are participating in this conference, it's growing, it's becoming more and more interesting with the diverse kind of ideas. As the Vice Mayor mentioned, that we are not here to teach to someone how to produce wine, because this is not a wine-making conference or linked with agriculture, but we see every year during these 8 years that number of people who are traveling, they are looking some new products. And one of them is wine tourism. Talking about this conference, this is one of the best conferences worldwide you can attend. As you see that the morning starts with the wine tasting. You never find in the world the conference where you can start from the wine. And I want to thank to all participants, especially to our dear Sophie, who is, by the way, from Bordeaux, very important, and I would say the capital of wine and tourism worldwide. Sophie, thanks to be with us. Our best regards to Mr. Barker, who is not with us, but your presence is crucial. We started 4 years ago, just before COVID, to collaborate with International Wine Organization, which is one of the most important organization in wine industry, and we're very happy and very glad to have you with us. And all participants, ambassadors, deputy ministers, Arman, thank you to be with us, Susanna, the head of tourism of Armenia, and there are many different ideas. I mean, all time these conferences we used to talk more how to develop and to see nice show cases, how countries they developed wine tourism. I would say that one of the best place is Armenia, because 8 years ago when we started thinking to organize these forums, me personally, which is a neighbor of this beautiful country, I didn't know that there is a production of wine. Imagine me next door, I didn't know that Armenia is producing wine. Today we have wine conference, and you see that in more than 20 countries coming here. We saw the beauty and we saw the investment made by Argentinian investor in Armenia. This is very important. Again, these are showcases which another country, I'm sure, that will repeat. They will see how wine tourism can attract tourists worldwide. Plus, of course, gastronomy, which is another big part of Armenian identity and part of Armenian culture. We are, I want to remind our guests that we are now in one of the oldest heritage and oldest historical place worldwide. Ararat itself is another very strong brand and name and identity of this country. It's historical mountain, but this is the strongest. I'm sorry, Sophie, it's not less known brand than cognac is, and that's why. I mean, many interesting things you will discover these days. I wish you a nice stay in Armenia. Try to drink and experience the different kind of beverages, from cognac to wine or from wine to cognac, and I'm sure that you will discover many interesting things to talk then when you will be back in your countries. Back to my country, I think we have great opportunity also. I was thinking, dear Minister, to create wine routes, because now tourists are doing a lot of wine routes, and once someone is coming in Armenia or to Georgia, you know, they can do, and we have many different showcases, and why not? It can be, it's not my business. We have here head of Armenian tourism and Georgia head of tourism, but we can think about this kind of product. Then once, I don't know, Japanese or Nagamura-san is here, or Chinese, or I don't know, tourists from America, United States will come. They always are trying to see 2, 3, 4 different countries, to do pictures, to put now in social media. This is the main attraction for tourists. So the wine routes are also very important and very interesting product, and why not? We can create a product which can be interesting for other member states and other countries and other neighbor countries, and that will be another opportunity to promote Armenia via wine routes and wine tours and wine tourism. So I wish you a nice day, all of you, and to be active, to talk more about wine tourism and successful stay in beautiful country, beautiful Yerevan. Thank you very much. Norakalusu.
Thank you, Secretary General. Please have a seat on the stage. Thank you very much, Secretary General. And now it's my pleasure to invite Minister of Economy of Republic of Armenia, Mr. Georg Papoyan. Please give him a warm welcome.
Dear colleagues, dear participants, since this is an official event, I will speak in Armenian, so please take your translation devices. Հարգարժան ՄԱԿ-ի տուրիզմի գլխավոր քարտուղար, հարգելի գործընկերներ, հարգելի մասնակիցներ,
I would like to emphasize that for us it is a very inspiring event that Armenia was selected as an organizer of this conference, of the 8th conference, as a hosting country, and we are hosting more than 120 countries. More than 120 participants who are wine experts, wine tourism experts, and for us it is a great pleasure to host you here in Armenia, because Armenia, yes, is very rich in winery and viticulture. In viniculture, it has a long-standing history, and with this regard, I have to emphasize that the wine industry is not just a branch of economy. It is a specific art which, from one side, links the economy and industry, and from the other side, the culture and nation, and as a new direction, it is a wine tourism direction. It is not a secret, dear colleagues, that We all, including the winemaking, wine industry, is standing on a very specific crossroad. This is the crossroad of traditional and innovation, and the wine tourism and the wine industry, wine production, which for me is not just an industry, but it is just a culture, it is an art, increases the importance of these two directions, and is acting as an important bridge between the nations for connecting the cultures and for development of tourism. Armenian wines and Armenian wineries, winemaking is a very specific, is very unique. First of all, because of our old history in the territory of Armenia. We have found a winery of 6,500. These are the large pots, which evidence that the Armenians has thousands of years of history in winemaking. The wine tourism in general is a very good opportunity for presenting our history, our culture to our guests, and at the same time it enables to make the proportional development of all industry of all regions of Armenia, because the wine tourism is this is one of the peculiarities of the wine tourism. It is not centralized in specific areas. It is not centralized in the capital or in the economic centers, and as a rule it is centralized or concentrated in the rural areas, and this is a good opportunity for developing the wine and rural tourism in the country. With this regard, across the world, the wine tourism invites many tourists and facilitates the sustainable development of the communities, creates workplaces, supports the development of the local businesses, supports the establishment of the brand of the given country. We understand this, and the government of the Republic of Armenia is making great efforts towards this. We are committed to create new infrastructures, to make new investments in the wine infrastructures, to create wine clusters where our guests, our tourists will enjoy not only Armenian wine, not only getting acquainted to our culture and historical values and heritage, but also they will spend a very pleasant and good time in Armenia. Dear participants, we hope that this 3-day conference will become a good platform for new cooperation and new opportunities. We will manage to share our best experience, develop new ideas, and create a more harmonized and dynamic experience in wine tourism. Thank you very much for this interesting your dedication to this very beautiful sector of winemaking, because winemaking is even more than agriculture or tourism or others. And I wish you a great success in your forthcoming discussions and visits. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Dear authorities, please come to the center of the stage for a group photo of our conference, for an official group photo. Many thanks. Thank you very much. Please have your seats. Thank you very much. Now that we have officially opened this year's conference, let's dive in an important topic when it comes to wine tourism. It's branding. To shed some light on these and other questions, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage from Canada, Liz Palmer. Liz Palmer is an internationally rewarded author, wine journalist, and judge, one of the top global wine influencers of 2024. Liz, the floor is yours. Please give her a warm welcome.
Testing. oh, to click. Okay.
Please, one more time. Liz Palmer, the stage is
Sorry.
yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. Let's dig in. Let me see, sorry. Okay. Technical difficulties. Oh, sorry about this. Okay. So what we're going to talk today about is branding. Okay. Here's a short table of contents. We're going to talk what is digital branding, the evolution. I've designed a chart, key trends, digital branding success in wine tourism, current digital brand trends for wine tourism. I designed a really cool AI infograph. Then the 10 key elements in structuring an effective digital brand strategy we'll talk about. Understanding your audience, defining your brand identity, leveraging content marketing, social media engagement, implementing data-driven marketing, focus on sustainability. There's going to be a lot to talk about, but I try to fit it in. Enhance the visitor experience with technology, strengthening partnerships and collaborations, which is very big, monitoring trends and adapting, success metrics and tools to use, and how to measure, and then the conclusion. And another thing I thought we'd talk about is influencing influencers and how big they are, and how they book for wine tourism, future trends, and influencing marketing statistics. So let's get into this. I think everybody knows, most people know who I am, just somebody gave an introduction. So what is digital branding? It involves creating and managing your brand's identity online through digital platforms, contents, and interactions. Its goal is to shape perceptions, build relationships, and drive business growth. Key components include consistency, engagement, personalization, innovation, and sustainability. Here's a graph I designed through AI on from 20 to 24, the evolution of digital branding, starting from social media all the way up to 2024, personalization and data privacy. The key trends by year, as you see, social media dominance, 2020, 2021, influencing branding boom, 2022, the rise of AI in branding, 2023, AR, VR integration, and bringing us up to 2024, personalization and data privacy. So, how digital branding drives success in wine tourism. Enhances your global reach, builds trust and credibility, having a high quality engaging content through video tours, blogs. This entices future tourists. Customer loyalty and retention. Data-driven strategies provides insights through analytics and marketing efforts improve the visitor's experiences. Here's one of the AI graphs I designed today. Current trends in the wine tourism sector. Virtual reality tastings, Instagram-worthy experiences, mobile-first booking, eco-friendly banding, geo-targeting advertising, and personal wine journeys. Sources. Building and sustaining effective digital brand strategies for the wine tourism sectors involves a mix of branding principles and digital tactics. Here's 10 key elements I put together for structuring effective digital brand strategy. Understanding your audience. Define your brand identity. Leverage content marketing. Social media engagement. Implement data-driven marketing. Focus on sustainability. enhance the visitor experience with technology, strengthen partnerships, collaborations, monitor trends and adapt, success metrics, tools, and KPIs. The first one is understand your audience. You look at the segmentation, do a demographic analysis, psychographic analysis, and behavior segmentation. Tell your messages according to these insights. Number 2 is define your brand identity. Brand values, this is the old way of marketing. Brand values, unique selling proposition, and your visual identity. Number 3 is leverage content marketing. Storytelling is still very popular. Crafting engaging stories. Multimedia content. Videos, blogs, podcasts, virtual tours. SEO strategy. Number 4 is social media engagement, which is very big. The platform selection, select which audience is more active. Example, targeting millennials and Gen Zs with Instagram campaigns. Influencer collaborations. Ensure you work with influencers who align with your brand values. Interactive campaigns, run contests, polls, challenges, encourage user participation. Social media engagement, a tip is use multi-channel strategy, a combination of social media, websites, apps, email marketing to create a cohesive brand presence. Number 5 is implement data-driven marketing. Analytic tools like Google Analytics, social media insights, CRM software to monitor your digital performance. Track your metrics, your website traffic, conversion rates, and social media engagement. Personalization, leverage data to personalize user experience. Email marketing, the old way still, is still very popular. Build segmented email lists and create targeted campaigns. Number 6, and very popular, focus on sustainability. Eco-friendly messaging, green certifications, and content on sustainability. Number 7, enhance your visitor experience with technology. This is going to be very big now and in the future. Virtual reality, mobile apps, AI chatbots. Strengthen partnerships and collaborations. Very important. Collaborate with local businesses, hotels, restaurants, transportation, services to create bundle offers. I think most of you know this. Work with tourism boards, collaborate with national, regional tourism boards to promote your wine tourism offerings on a broader scale. Events and festivals, sponsor or host wine-related events and festivals. Number 8, monitor trends and adapt. Stay updated, get your customer feedback, and be flexible. Oh, this should be 10, I guess, okay, 10. Success metrics, tools, and KPIs. Key performance indicators measure the success of your digital brand strategies. They conclude metrics like ROI, customer acquisition costs, and social media reach. Do regular audits, your social media audits, and continually improving. So here's tools I put together that you can use to measure and analyze. Google Analytics, social media analytics tools like Facebook Insights, Instagram Insights, customer relation management systems for tracking visitor data, preferences, and purchase history. Online booking system, survey tools, review management platforms, email marketing platforms, point of sale systems for tracking online purchases and calculating conversion rates, and sustainable management software for tracking. Implement this integrated 10 key strategy will strengthen your digital brand, make it future-proof and well-positioned to address the evolving needs of international wine travelers in 2025 and beyond. Now, something very important and dear to my heart is the impact of influencers on wine tourism bookings and brand development. The best practices for selecting influencers for wine tourism is as follows: align with brand values and aesthetic. Check their engagement rates, not just their follower count. Ensure audience demographics match the target market. Review past content for authenticity and quality. Verify compliance with advertising regulations, and consider micro-influencers for niche wine regions. Future trends, growing emphasis on micro-influencers, 10,000 to 100,000 followers, increased authenticity and higher engagement rates. The rise of the nano-influencers for hyper-local wine experiences, micro-influencers shifting to broader lifestyle content. The emergence of virtual influencers in luxury wine marketing is also something to watch. Well, here's marketing statistics I dug up and I thought would be interesting for you. 72% of millennials reported making travel decisions based on influencer recommendations. Wine-related posts on Instagram increased by 37% in 2023 compared to the previous year. Influencer-driven campaigns resulted in a 24% increase in wine tourism, booking for participation wineries. 63% of wine enthusiasts discovered new wine regions through social media influencers. Micro-influencer partnerships led to a 41% increase in engagement for wine brands compared to macro-influencers collaborations. 89% of wineries reported improved brand visibility after partnering with influencers. So basically the key takeaways today is embrace innovation, stay ahead, drive engagement, sustainable growth, collaborate, monitor and adapt your brand performances continually, and start refining your digital strategy today. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz, for sharing your vision on the future of wine tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue the inspirational journey with our next session, Get Inspired. Professionals from the fields of wine and tourism are going to share their expertise and experience with successful initiatives and innovative projects in wine tourism. To lead the session, I have the pleasure to invite on the stage from Spain, Juan Parodi, co-founder of the consultancy firm Community Hackers. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Behind every glass of wine, isn't working? Technical issues. Wait a little bit. Yes? Okay. So, behind every glass of wine, there's much more of something we can drink. Behind every glass of wine, there's much more than flavors. What if I could tell you that in every glass of wine, there's an opportunity also to protect the planet or harm the planet. In every glass of wine, there's a story. And behind that story is not only what's inside the bottle, but even the journey that takes us, that bottle, into our hands. So today, I want to share with you some ideas, 3 key ideas. Hopefully, this will plant some seeds around sustainability in wine tourism. And we're going to make that through opposites, through tensions, basically through trades-off. Because among these opposites that we're going to see, we can find room for deeper understanding, for growth. And basically, through these opposites, we can find some kind of balance. So let's dive into these ideas. The first thing, the first opposite, it's a mindset, but it translates also into behaviors and practices inside our organizations. The question is, what type of game are we playing? Are we playing a finite game where we emphasize in short term, in immediate profits, where we might have practices that may harm the environment or deplete resources? Or are we emphasizing in the long term, where businesses, community, and planet could thrive in this long term? Well, the end question is, are we part of the problem or part of the solution? And why do we ask ourselves this question? It's because we overpassed planetary boundaries long time ago. It's because we know that these boundaries, these 9 boundaries, need to be in correct balance. And as human beings, as you know, in recent years, we overpass many of them. Right now, we are in a shortfall of many of the social foundations. We overpassed ecological ceiling. That's why today we are talking a lot about regeneration and not sustainability. So one of the practical things here also is that through the pandemic and recent years, we prove empirically that sustainability and having a deeper connection with stakeholders drive a better and greater profitability. Throughout the pandemic, the companies and organizations that had integrated ESG, environmental, social, and governance profiles, performed better than their peers that didn't have that. So this means that through the pandemic, companies perform better and also recover faster. So when we talk about this infinite game, we are talking about companies that are ensuring that they own all the impacts and consequences of what they do, intended or not. This means not only minimizing negative impact or trying to be neutral, but rather having a net positive impact. This means, for example, if we are talking about climate change, it means not only reducing our emissions, but rather thinking if we can produce a carbon positive wine. Or in terms of biodiversity, for example, it's not only preserving biodiversity, but rather thinking if we can restore ecosystems. And also, it means that we are operating for the long term on the benefit of the company and the society. This means, for example, trying to see in the long term if we are improving the welfare of the local community. Or it means, as we are preserving heritage, legacy, it means that we generate this space and unique experiences for wine tourists, and we also generate a space where we can generate understanding and cultural exchange. So, to sum it up, the infinite game means this. It means how today's decisions will not be part of tomorrow's problems. And we have the second tension. The second tension is around being stewards against being innovators. We talked a little bit before, no? Being stewards means protecting the legacy, the heritage, no? Using traditional approaches. On the other side, we have innovators. Innovators push boundaries, are pioneers, they risk. They also question if we could do things differently. And that needs to have a lot of courage. It needs to have courage because we don't know what is the outcome it's gonna come before that, no? So innovation helps us a lot to generate, first of all, to improve product quality, to enhance unique customer experiences, but also to drive differentiation in the market that we know it's crowded. So by the end of the day, innovation, it's kind of a bridge. It's a bridge between heritage and new consumer demands. That's how we try to safeguard heritage, no, into these new elements that are appearing and emerging today. And if we see these opposites, stewards against innovators, we rather see that they are not opposing, but rather in synergy. Because by the end of the day, what we are doing is innovation help us to protect and to amplify what we can do in terms of heritage, to protect our heritage. So the third one, the third opposite, it's collaboration against isolation. So this is a critical tension in our ecosystem, no? In our, sorry, go back. This is critical, no? It's really critical. Because collaboration, the main topics and challenges we have in our sector, any entity cannot tackle it alone. So we need to collaborate with organizations that are outside ours. I'll give you an example, a good example. We generate a great product with great quality in the last years, but for example, we have the problem that we have poor infrastructures or transportation systems. So that generates, for example, difficulties to guests, to customers, or it's too costly to ship our products outside to other markets. Or even, for example, that we don't collaborate enough with local restaurants and our wines are underrepresented or not being effectively sold. So for sure we need to collaborate. Collaboration here means change, systemic change, and collective progress against not collaborating and doing things individually and having slow progress and missed opportunities. So when we talk about this, one question and one thing that we realize is that businesses cannot prosper in societies that fail. You see this picture that is not fake, it's real. That happened in 2019 in the fires in Oregon next to Washington. And the question here is, are we sometimes, those golfers, are we looking aside sometimes? This is kind of the question we need to ask ourselves. And by the end of the day, we are solving complex problems. Why solving complex problems? Because, first of all, we don't have perfect solutions, and those problems do not exist in isolation. They are surrounded by other problems. So, all these balances and all of what we do, these balances and these opposites we were bringing, finally would have this end result, is being a great destination in wine tourism, but also enabling sustainable experiences. That's what is going to make the difference. So to close, I wanted to share that when we talk about wine tourism, first of all, is not achieving perfection, is not achieving one goal, but rather improving, generating innovation and adaptation. So it means that we're going through a path of continuous improvement. It's an ongoing journey. It's a process, not a final destination. So together we can shape and we can build the future wine tourism that thrives in harmony with society and nature. Thank you very much. So after I would like to invite to the following speaker, Andrei Kistol, State Secretary, Ministry of Culture of Moldova. Saruhi, thank you. Are you going to be, yes? Okay. Saruhi Muradayan, Executive Director, Vine and One Foundation of Armenia. Saruhi, welcome. Nina Kovac, Tourism Product Development Team Leader, USAID Tourism, Bosnia-Herzegovina. Thank you, Nina. Welcome. And we have Victoria Aslanyan, CEO of Golden Grape Armas from Armenia. Thank you. So, Andrei, if you're okay, I will invite you to do your presentation.
Thanks a lot. I think it's working. It's work, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation of Juan. I think it was a very inspiring presentation, and I am convinced that yes, wine tourism is a process of development, and it's a process of innovation, and that's why I hope that my presentation will inspiring you to take this as a great experience, and to visit our country and to visit our wine tourism. Thanks a lot for our Armenian colleague for inviting us to that conference, and thanks a lot for UN Tourism for continuing to develop wine tourism as an important platform of our economic, social, and community development. I will try to as much as possible inspiring you to visit Moldova and to show you what is our experience on developing wine tourism in our country. But I will start with a very important question. Yes, Moldova, it's a safe destination. Yes, unfortunately, yes, there is a war in Ukraine. There is the Russian aggression and the war of Russia in Ukraine. But yes, Moldova, it's a safe country, and this was shown by a survey that we conducted last year, and we saw that 92% of the travels that was in Moldova say that Moldova is a safe country. These are some figures about Moldova. We are between Romania and Ukraine, and we speak Romanian language. We are a candidate country, and this is a very important step that we succeed to achieve during that process, and this will be, we hope that this will be an important added value for economic development of our country, and including tourist development as well. This is some asset of our unique, why Moldova it's a unique destination, that are some very important assets that we have. One of them it's regarding the experience, tourism experience, that wine and tourism experience that we offer to our guests, culture and authentic experience that you will find in our country, and especially in the rural areas that we have in Moldova. We succeed to develop this in Moldova, and we are a multi-ethnic country. In Moldova, you will find You'll find from Ukrainian till Gagauz Bulgarians, including Armenians, minority that we have in Moldova. This is our touristic offer. Yes, for sure, rural tourism is a driver. And now we have a lot of important project that we implement in Moldova together with our partners from USAID and the European Union. Thanks to their support, we succeed to invest in the last years a lot of projects in tourism, in rural tourism. Wine experience and wine tourism accommodation in our wineries, adventure tourism, capital city that is a very vibrant and with a lot of cultural events and wine restaurants, wine hubs, wine bars. MICE, we offer the possibilities to develop, to organize international events, and for sure medical tourism and business travels. 64% of our foreign tourism choose Moldova because this is a wine attraction, and we have something to show to our tourism, to our guests, and for sure because this is a very important element. Thanks to the Cucuteni Tripole culture, 5,000 years ago, we start to produce wine. We start to develop the vineyards in Moldova. These are some fears of our wine industry in Moldova. What is more important, that we succeed thanks to the Russian embargo in 2006 to have a revolution in the wine industry. Thanks to the support of European Union and USAID, we transform the industry in a more sustainable process, and we succeed to not just to have wine production, but to increase the services that is provided by the wine companies, offering accommodation, restaurants, and visiting tours to our tourists. As I mentioned, we have more than 200 wineries, including 16 small wineries. Small wineries, in fact, it's a trend now in Moldova. We have a lot of young people, including people from IT sector, for example, or for bank sector, that start to produce wine because this is a culture, because this is a part of our identity, and this is because we want to show to our guests our traditions, our culture, and our experience that we have in Moldova. Yes, for sure, because Milești, Mircea, and Cricova, this is our let's say top wine companies are offering the experience to our tourists as world's largest wine collections and largest wine underground wine cellar in the world, but that is offered by Guinness World Records. And these are our national program, because wine route in Moldova is not just a small or a touristic route, but this is a national program where we succeed together with Wine of Moldova. Wine of Moldova, it's a public-private company that succeed to develop wine tourism in Moldova and wine industry in Moldova. These are three historical wine regions in Moldova. It's more on south of Moldova, center and south of Moldova, where we produce a lot of wine and we offer that experience to our tourists. 14 wineries for tours and wine tasting, 6 wineries with accommodation, 40 wineries with restaurant and food experience, and yes, Wine of Moldova, it's part of Itervitis wine route. This is a cultural roots of the Council of Europe, and we are very glad that we are part of that process. We are part of that community. Yes, some of figures regarding the export. Yes, because after the Russian embargo, we rethink our export strategy to a more sustainable country, especially from European Union and United States, China, Turkey, Holland, and other countries from the regions. Yes, Moldova have received a lot of important awards, and we are very glad and proud of our colleagues working in the industry, because this is an added value to our promotional and marketing campaign. We start to introduce sustainable principles, yes, because it's very important to show this experience and to our tourism, and we are very glad that Wine of Moldova implement the sustainability principles. Some of the experience that you will find in our wine companies, starting from very authentic experience, including with accommodation, with gastronomy at Asconi Winery, to a more creative and innovative experience in our another company, it's Chateau Vartelli. Continuing with Castel Mimi, that was selected as a wine company that hosted last year the European Political Summit, and we are very glad and proud of this story. Ending with Porcare, which is a brand of Moldova, and which offer a lot of different experience, starting from natural experience till rural experience. This is because in 2018 we host this conference, and we are very glad to think about another conference that we would like to organize in Moldova. This year, in a couple of days, we will host the General Assembly of ITER Vitis Wine Roots, and we are very glad that Moldova will host this important event, as well. But our colleagues from Wine and Wines International Organization, we will host another important event, the OAV Congress in 2025. This is another important element that show the importance of wine industry and wine tourism in Moldova. Yes, because artificial intelligence is something that it's very in a top now. We succeed to have an experience of introducing artificial intelligence in the production, in the promotion, and to have a very interesting experience on that side. I will not go in so many details because I don't have so much time, but maybe after the presentation we can discuss about this important experience that we have, that was presented last year. Thanks to the support of USAID in Moldova, and this again, it's something that we help and we work together with artificial intelligence to produce this wine and to have this very important experience. These are some target objectives that we have for the next 5 years. Yes, for sure, these are very important objectives for Wine of Moldova, for Ministry of Culture, because we are responsible for tourism industry, and because tourism, wine tourism, gastronomy, rural experience, culture is part of, is like a driver of our touristic offers. We will put more attention to promoting our touristic offer to international tourists, and to host more interesting events, especially on tourism, on wine, and this will be a step forward to develop our tourism industry in Moldova. Thanks a lot. I think Juan,
perfect.
Okay,
thank you so much, Andrei.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Applause. Saruhi, we invite you to kindly to do your presentation.
Thank you very much. Does it work? Hello. Good morning, our honorable guests. It's a great pleasure hosting you here in Armenia's wonderful country. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to UNW to give us this opportunity to host so many nice people, professionals, experts, journalists. I am happy to see our colleague from Georgia. So it's a great opportunity today to have you and to share with our experience. Today, a little bit challenge for me to talk a few minutes about Armenian winemaking. I will try to do my best to talk about our project, what we are doing, and how it is developing the winemaking in Armenia and also the wine tourism in the country. So as I presented, I am Zaruhi Muradian, but everyone called me Zara. Only my father-in-law was calling me Zaruhi, and I was like, what's happened? So it's easy to remember. So, and I am responsible for the wine sector. We are doing different projects in the wine sector related to viticulture, to winemaking. We are promoting Armenian wine. We are doing project in education and in wine tourism. So it's something new for us, and I am going to talk about a little about our project, what we are doing in wine tourism. So, but first I would like to just talk. I'm sure you will hear about Armenia, how we are ancient. During this year, you will hear about Armenia, about rich history, about heritage. So, but I would like to mention that Armenia is a very unique country with its ancient history, rich heritage, geographical biodiversity that I am sure that it will still in the heart each person who will visit Armenia. So in Armenia, in Areni village, the first oldest wine facilities that has 6,100 years old winemaking facilities was earthed in Areni cave. So you will visit, you will have a chance to visit this cave, and Boris Gasparian will tell you more about this. So many evidence like scientific research findings that shows that Armenia has ancient tradition of winemaking and technology. Sometimes our friends are asking me, okay, you are so ancient, why we don't know you? We don't know about your winemaking history. We don't know that Armenia has a nice wine. Because not maybe, but I'm sure that's, again, thanks to Russia. When it's Soviet period, when we had a plant economy, we became as a brandy producing country. At that time, we had 35,000 hectares of vineyards, and we used the grape for the brandy. And we became popular with our brandy production. At that time, unfortunately, we lost our grapes for the winemaking. But after Soviet Union collapses, the Renaissance, now we are saying that we are experiencing the Renaissance. We are in period of Renaissance because the winemaking started to develop during these 10, 15 years. And it's unbelievable. You will see how fast it's growing, how many new investments, how many new wineries they are open their doors for the tourists, for the experts, for our guests. So. The wine tourism is something new for us. When in 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I hosted my friends from France, they were saying, are you doing some project in wine tourism? I said, no, we are not ready for that. But now I am very proudly saying that we are really developing this wine tourism in country parallel that we are making so many nice good wines. So I like to compare these numbers because in 2018 we have only 25 companies in 2018. So nowadays we have more than 150. So you see how it's growing fast. Again, we are doing a lot of projects to improving our quality. We are working with the whole sectors. And I would like also mention that proudly, I can say that the whole sector come together and they're working to raise awareness of Armenian wine because we should firstly create this image and after that to say and to get our position in the wine world map. So, but today I'm going to talk about some project that we are doing in wine tourism that it help us to also present our sector in the right way. The gastro yards, I would like to thanks to our all international organizations that supported our country. Our organization is a governmental organization, but we got grants, support from also international organization. And this is really very nice project that have done with the UNDP, with support of GIZ, so and with the AGBA Federation. So we started to work with the homemade winemakers because we see that it's really very interesting. We have huge potential in this sphere as well. We have so many good small family, like they do very good job. They produce the wine. And we see that for the tourists, it's really very interesting to visit them and to also see how the people live in the villages, what they do, etc. So we decided to work with the homemade winemakers to help them to improve the quality of the wine. So we provide them facilities, we train them how to make the wine, we gave them brands, we gave them labels, so we bottle it. And also we made the wine tasting rooms, and they started to host the tourists. So it was before COVID. Now we see that many gastro yards, they are really successfully working in their villages, in their houses, hosting so many people. I also a small producer. I produce 10,000 bottles, and it's really very difficult to sell it. Last we met with one of our stakeholders, and I asked them how everything is going on. He said, very good. I bottled 15,000 bottles, and I sold it in 3 months. Oh my God, I was shocked. And this is what we had a vision to support them, that they can stay in their villages to host many people and to keep this family together, and also to bring recognition of these villages, and also it's a rural development. Another nice project that we started, we said how we are going to promote these gastro yards, our wineries, the cultural places, etc. So we decided to develop the mobile application where we can put all this information in this app. So the app divided by different parts. The first part is the information and event, that everyone can know what is happening in the country, what can they get, like coming to Armenia, what they can see, where they can visit, and it can be like independently. They don't need the tour operators or guides to make their visits to these places. So, and what kind of event we are doing. I also would want to mention that I will allow me to say that it's one of the biggest wine festival that we organize in Armenia, thanks to our partner Innovators. They do the biggest wine festival in the country, and we all information put in this application that the wine lovers, consumers can get this information from this app. Another part is it was really very interesting for as now the wine tourism is developing. Many tourists, they come to country. For them is more interesting to know which wine they can use, which Armenian food or with the other cuisine. So we put all meals in the application that we have in Armenia, all restaurants, and we matched with the wine. So about grape variety, about wine style, and they can choose the wine for these meals. It's somehow we educate our wine consumers that they can without any support of sommelier to choose the wine. The most important part is the wine tourism. So we put the regions, we put all information related to regions that they can visit the region, and they can see, for example, they decided to go to Vayot store, what they can see, where they can go, and they can make their visit with this application to book their visits to the wineries and to have this fun without any support of guides or tour operators. Another project that we did again with our international organizations, it's because the many tourists, they come to Armenia, they love the Armenia, they like very much the wine, and they ask where I can buy this wine. So it was very difficult to provide them this information. For example, this company, if it exists in the wine, if it exist in this market or no. So we decided to create the online platform. It's called Wines of Armenia, Firstly, we rent the logistic hub in Berlin. In some European countries, we did the research where it's more convenient to open this logistic hub. So we opened this in Berlin. So and we make this huge online shop. It's one of the biggest shop that, if I am not wrong, 29 companies, more than 100 or 200 wines are presented there. So, but before send the wines, we do the blind tasting. So we the whole, and the blind tasting doing not just independent judges, all producers together, they do this tasting, they choose only the best wine, and we are presenting after that the wine. So, but we also put information about Armenia, about wine roots, and we also put information, some new events, etc., what is going in the country and outside country. So all our guests, tourists, can buy after they visit the wine from this platform. And it's also a very good tool for us for promotion of Armenian wine, because we are doing many promotional events. So it's interesting when, for example, someone wrote about Armenia, so and the reader can, okay, I want to try the wine, where I can buy the wine, so they can buy from the online shop. It's available for every European country. Yeah. So another project that we are again very proud of this, that the wine tourism, maybe it's not new for you, but for us it's really very important, because the first visitor that come Armenia, they face with the guide, yeah? The guide should be very professional, and I am proud to see all our guides here. So we trained them to provide professional service to our guests, to our tourists, to tell the right information to our tourists, because for us it's really very important. The sector is, yes, we are ancient, we are positioning us, and we were discussing with our colleague, Georgia, Lebanon, Greece, to position us as an ancient wine world country. Yeah, we are ancient, but at the same time we are experiencing the Renaissance. We are not old, we are not new, but at the same time the sector is growing during these 10, 15 years, and it's growing really very fast, and we would face with many challenges. And thanks for this opportunity, because during this day I met so many nice people, professionals, and we were discussing how to maybe to do some joint program, how to not mistake that they did maybe 10 years ago. So it's a great, great, nice opportunity for Armenia, for our experts, for our winemakers to meet with these people, to make the network. And the wine, this is, everyone knows that wine is connecting people, and we are really very happy having you here. Thank you very much. I will be here during these days, so you can ask me questions. I will be very happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zara. Thank you so much. Nina, we invite you to do your presentation.
Testing. It's working. And the clicker. Thank you. Good day to all. Thank you, Juan, for the inspiring introductory words. Thank you to UN Tourism for establishing and developing year after year this incredible networking platform in wine tourism. I'm especially grateful for this opportunity to showcase wine routes from across the world, those that could inspire others, and I'm hoping that the example that I'm going to share with you will be inspirational to all. It's a wine route from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Many things that Zara just mentioned about Armenia, I felt they echoed with our example, because when we say wine route in Bosnia and Herzegovina, people are very confused. But we too have a very long-standing history of winemaking, and we sometimes like to say that it's a well-kept secret. So our slogan is the hidden side of the Mediterranean. What I will try to do in the next few slides and a very short video after is to explain what are the key ingredients that went into developing this route. What are some of the lessons learned and what we can share with you today. So the wine route itself was established some 27 years ago by the Tourism Board of Herzegovina-Neretva Canton. Since then, it has gone through different development phases. At the beginning, the focus was primarily on wineries. Today, it is managed by our Foreign Trade Chamber of Bosnia and Herzegovina in cooperation with 6 cities. This is the southernmost part of Bosnia and Herzegovina that are collaborating together under this program, under this brand. Support is being given to this initiative through USAID-funded project Developing Sustainable Tourism in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in which I'm working on. And what we will be showing here today are some of the, I would say, key aspects of the Herzegovina wine route. So it rests on 4 indigenous varieties of wine and a multitude of international ones. As I said, it passes through 6 cities in the southern part of Bosnia and Herzegovina, 3 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It currently numbers 36 official members. Those are businesses, not only wineries, so it's hotels and tourist attractions as well. And a multitude of accompanying attractions and experiences and providers along the route. This is just a snapshot of what Herzegovina wine route really is. We like to say that the wineries are the most prominent part of the wine route, but it's not only them. It is the hotels, it is the restaurants, it is the different experience providers, those who provide rafting on our rivers. It is the nature. So it is a multitude of different experiences and landscapes that make up Herzegovina wine route. And I would say the most critical part is the hospitality of its people, the cultural heritage that area holds. The wineries on the Herzegovina wine route are mostly family-owned. We have also several that are family-owned, that are women-owned and women-led. We also see a new generation of youth that is bringing in innovations in the overall wine production, but in wine tourism services and products as well. So what are the key steps that were taken through us as a USAID project, working together with partners, primarily the Foreign Trade Chamber and the 6 cities? In terms of product development, there were numerous elements, numerous steps that were taken in the last 2 years to revitalize the route. From mapping and assessments, from business planning, from strategic planning, where do we want to be? An entire new branding, visual branding and logo was developed. These were protected as under intellectual property rights. Various agreements signed with all of the cities to really fine-tune who is responsible for what part, what is their role to play in the overall wine route. We have a Herzegovina Wine Route Council set up that includes not only wineries, but also chambers of commerce. It includes hotels, so tour operators. So it really is not only wine-focused, so to say, tourism product, but it is a wine tourism, so to say, community of different businesses working with the same vision. In the last period, we've been doing a lot of trainings for hospitality staff, so staff working in restaurants to know how to really serve and sell the different wines from the Herzegovina wine route, but also other services. And international networking. We really value opportunities such as this one, but also those that are provided by Itervitas Network and others for Bosnia and Herzegovina and its Herzegovina wine route to then be able to share knowledge and networks with partners from around the world. In terms of marketing and promotion, we really wanted to make Herzegovina wine route visible domestically and internationally. A comprehensive website was established with very, very active digital and social media accounts. Promotional materials were developed, some of which we keep asking questions. We get questions on very interesting ones, those that are printed and not, but the printed ones I have a couple with me and I would love to share if anyone is interested in more details. Product audits and product marketing plans, various types of press trips and farm trips. An article just came out in National Geographic about the Herzegovina wine route. And we too, as of last year, or actually this year, sorry, organized a festival around Herzegovina wine route with over 2,000 participants this year, which really helped then put the stage domestically and also regionally with regard to the offers of the Herzegovina wine route. Some of the key achievements in the last period have been the fact that we have received recognition and visibility in some international circles, ITERVITIS being one of them. We are an official member as of September 2022. As I said, the overall management system is set up. We have members that are officially part of the wine route and more coming, so 36 current members. Visibility, just in the last 2 years, over 15 million impressions and 7 million viewers were reached through through only 2 channels, so Facebook and Instagram. An achievement that we're particularly proud of is that Mostar, which is the hub, so to say the gateway into the Herzegovina wine route, was officially recognized as the European wine city, Dionisio, for 2024 by the European Network of Wine Cities, and numerous awards all the time, so to say, for the authentic wines themselves, but also for the different members of the wine route. If you'd like more information, you can definitely scan the QR code or visit the website, but I cannot try to illustrate everything what the Herzegovina wine route holds. So for that, I will ask if the technical support can provide a video where you can get a little bit of a snapshot of what Herzegovina wine route really is. Thank you.
Once upon a time, in the hidden side of the Mediterranean, where vineyards stretched as far as the eye could see, a new passion burgeoned and has endured for thousands of years. Tucked between peaks so high, Herzegovina lies silent, a Mediterranean dream. Amidst years, Herzegovina's winemakers evolved their part. Art. When uncorked, they resound with history, dedication, and the artistry of winemaking. Žilavka and Blatina, Herzegovina's prized duo, showcasing the land's essence in every vineyard row. Žilavka, with golden glints and citrus notes so fine, radiates freshness in every poured wine. While Blatina, ruby deep, stands bold and true, with aromas of dark berries and a spicy hue. Rich in texture with tannins that impress, it complements hearty meals in its vibrant finesse. At Herzegovina's heart, where legends often speak, Mostar stands proud, timeless, and unique. Tucked where the Trebišnica River flows, Trebinje's charm effortlessly shows, and golden rays kiss its age-old stones, a history sung in melodious tones. Amidst majestic peaks, stolid splendor shines, with nature's tales woven in ancient lines. At Čapljina, where storks dance against the backdrop of the ancient city of Mogorjelo, the hidden side of the Mediterranean unveils its magic. In Čitluk's embrace, where Medjugorje's spirit guides, a winemaking legacy in every household abides. Ljubushki, framed by hills and the Trebizhets song, holds Kravitsa's cascade, where water lingers long. As dusk falls under the Mediterranean gentle sheen, Herzegovinians, adventurers, and culture buffs convene. Wine aficionados with a palate refined join gastronomes as their tastes entwined. Together, they raise their glasses under the starry dome, discovering Herzegovina's secrets where heartbeats roam. A toast to unity, to passions that never wane, on the hidden side of the Mediterranean where memories remain.
Thank you, Nina, for your wonderful presentation. I'm going to invite Victoria to do her presentation. Meanwhile, after Victoria presents, we're going to have a small space for question and answers, so make sure you are prepared for that. Whenever you're ready, Victoria.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here and present the renaissance of Armenian wine. First, I'd like to start off by presenting Armenian terroir. Armenia has truly been blessed with the idyllic terroir of the vine. We're located on the 45th parallel on the globe. As many of you know, it's considered the magic of the 45th. We have very high elevation, anywhere from 1,700 to 1,900 meters above sea level. We have 300 days of sunshine, cold winters, so the vines rest, warm summers, so they ripen, cool summer nights, so we get that perfect sugar-acid balance. We have very, very volcanic soil, which is incredibly difficult to cultivate, but very rewarding in the cellar. I always make the comparison between diamonds. The more time and pressure, the more brilliant it becomes. And certainly the same could be said of our grapes. And many of us at Armas, for instance, we have ungrafted rootstock, where we have focused on our native grape varieties. So as you know, we have hundreds of native grape varieties, some that were born here, ancient grapes like Voskehat and Areni, and some that were created here, like Kangun and Karmerahut, my personal favorite grapes. It's unlike 99% of grapes in the world. It's a tentenure grape where the juice inside the grape berry is red. So taking into account this terroir, these amazing native grape varieties, it is not coincidental that Armenia is considered the birthplace of the vine and wine. Many are familiar with the biblical legend of Mount Ararat in Genesis 9:20. Noah plants the very first vines in modern-day Armenia. But this biblical legend has an archaeological testimony. As Zara mentioned, in 2007, in fact, coincidentally, it was the year that we started to develop Armas, the world's oldest winery was discovered, carbon dated 6,100 years old. Fun fact, world's oldest dress and shoe were also found in that cave. And remnants of grape seeds that shows that we've had the wild grape and the Vitis vinifera. It all originated in this area. In fact, there's also some evidence that suggests that the Areni grape is the ancestor of Pinot Noir. So viticulture and enology were developed practices, and we know this also from the kingdom of Urartu from as far back as the 9th century, on Erebuni rock inscriptions in the fortress from the 8th century. Armenian dignitaries, when they went on diplomatic missions, were known to give the gift of wine. Greek historians like Herodotus, Strabo, Xenophon have also referenced Armenian wine culture. And in fact, a figurine of an Armenian wine merchant was found a couple of decades ago in China, dating back to the 5th century. So we were also very active on the Silk Route. Now, modern winemaking began at the end of the 19th century, but as Zara also mentioned, during the Soviet Union, it was decided that Armenia will produce brandy and Georgia will produce wine. But at brandy, again, we excelled because of the raw material, these grapes that are born in this amazing, magnanimous terroir, were all created here. Now, at Armas, I'm very, very proud that we are among the main founders of the Renaissance of Armenian wine. In 2007, my father purchased 150 hectares of land, which at the time was only rocks and snakes, literally in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely no infrastructure existed. No irrigation, no drinking water, no electricity, not even roads. But because it was the absolute best terroir, first and foremost, and because of its proximity to the city, to Yerevan, only a 40-minute drive, as we had always envisioned developing wine tourism, despite all of those difficulties, that particular site was chosen. And since then, for 17 years, we have been having ongoing agricultural development and construction to this day. Our 150-hectare estate is surrounded by an 18-kilometer brick wall. We call it the Great Wall of Armas. And within these walls today, we have 100 hectares of planted native grape varieties, 40 hectares of orchards like peaches, apricots, plums, apples, cherries, scattered all throughout the estate so that the flavors and aromas of these fruits go through the soil to the vines, making the grapes and forthcoming wines that much more aromatic. We have a boutique hotel, a tasting room, event areas, lake farm and greenhouse are still under construction. And of course, most importantly, a world-class winery and distillery. Absolutely no expense was spared. It was completely designed and constructed by Italian firms. In fact, 35 people lived here for 4 years. We built the boutique hotel for them. And 2 years for ongoing trainings, well, first 2 years for ongoing constructions, and then a couple of more years for trainings and operations. Now, man versus nature was developing the estate, man versus man was developing the winery and the team, and then we got to man versus the market. Honestly, it's woman versus this as well. But we're very, very proud to have been able to present our wines worldwide. We export them to 12 countries, but when we began, there was absolutely no market to speak of. And as you can imagine, creating market demand does require a lot of investment, time, energy, resources, and lots of speaking. I used to have a very light feminine voice. But we have certainly been doing our part, presenting the renaissance of Armenian wine. And we've done it, of course, first and foremost through our wines. This is our winemaker, Emilio Del Medico. And what we asked of him was to showcase the characteristics of our native grape varieties, but to do it in a manner that appeals to the international palate. So thus far, we have 15 wines under the Armas brand. Armas, by the way, is short for Armen Aslanyan, my father, and my great-grandfather, who was the original winemaker in our family. He was a village winemaker, so a very, very different capacity from what we're doing. But our family is also having a revival of legacy, as is our country. Now, Kirk means passion. So we say Armas is our name and Kirk is our approach. I'd also like to call your attention to our labels. Having studied art history myself initially, I really wanted to use the wine labels as yet another arena where we could boast of our cultural heritage. So we used the zoomorphic design, the Tırçna Gir, which is from the golden age of Armenian art history, from the 5th century, from biblical art and miniature art. If you have a chance, visit Matena Daran. And also we used a cross stone as an ode to our secular history, being the first Christian nation. Recently, we have also rebranded some of our wines for various markets, but we still use quite a bit of Armenian insignia. Now, we want people to enjoy the wines as often as possible, and to that end, we have also been doing lots of events at Armas. For instance, our annual Wine and Jazz Festival, Blessing of the Grapes, Harvest and Harmony, Laugh and Wine. Whatever we can do to draw people in so that they come, they see the quality of our vineyards, the transparency of operations in our facilities, and of course, most importantly, create a memory. So this is something that people around the world are slowly discovering. As you can see, Armenia has been featured in both National Geographic and CNN. Of course, one of the ways that we do it continuously, aside from our events, is through our tours. So our guests have a chance to follow the path of the grape to the glass. They tour the vineyards, then the winery, and then conclude in our tasting room with a food and wine pairing as well. So we want them to build that memory, and of course, private events are a very intimate way of building that memory, and we host quite a few of those as well. Aside from our tours, of course, we've been promoting Armenian wine and wine tourism on many, many different fronts. We've been featured in many reputable publications like Los Angeles Times, Foreign Affairs Magazine, Forbes, among others. We've also hosted quite a few people from all over the world. That's, for instance, the King and Queen of Belgium and Jacqueline Bisset, but each of our guests are equally important for us. Some of them come with press. We also participate in many, many expos, and we don't miss any opportunity where we can share our wines and make an impression, because it is so important for us and the development of our country. And of course, that starts with dedication to excellence and fine wines. And as many of our awards and accolades attest to, we have achieved that. And not only for our wines, but of course also for the work that's been done. That's my father, the hero. And I'm very, very glad that both of us continue at the helm of this amazing, amazing project. Something that involves so much of what our country needs, namely agricultural development, job production, jobs, production, tourism, export, and cultural standards held high. What a beautiful way through wine to speak of our history, our soil, and our resilient soul. But it's not just about what we need. It truly is about something we can share with the world. Of course, people value history, but they also want novelty. And people can come to Armenia, enjoy all of this and so much more, not from the old world of wines or new world of wines, but from the epicenter of the historic world of wine, where they also get to enjoy Armenian hospitality in this gem of a country of ours. Welcome. I hope you enjoy. I hope you visit often. Cheers. Thank you.
Հաճույք, արվեստ, սեր, բնություն հայրենիքից։ Արմաս։
Thank you, Victoria, for your great presentation. We finish our presentations, and now I will invite you to open a space for questions and answers, okay? While we wait for some people from the public, if you want to ask something, I will start off with a great question. I think that if we can do it in a nutshell, it would be great, a great challenge. And this is, what will be the key factors of success in wine and sustainable wine tourism? Yes? What would be the key success factors of it? Who wants to start? Anyone? Yes?
Well, I think for Armenia, certainly, it's just a matter of being discovered. So marketing and promotions, that's one. And of course, accessibility as well. But that too is developing. So direct flights to Armenia, for instance. But people need to discover it, and we need to continuously grow, and we certainly already have the product for it. So we have the ancient and the new. It's just a matter of time, and I implore not only Armenians, but anyone who's been to Armenia to become an ambassador for us.
Yes, thank you. Nina?
To add on to what Victoria has just said, I would also say that a key ingredient is building a sense of ownership and a common vision. For us, where it's a wine route that is a sum of different businesses and different wineries, they need to understand their individual gains, but also the collective ones. And this goes back to the presentation you had, where it's, whether it's isolation or collaboration. Many of the businesses are used to working on their own individually, striving to achieve their individual gains, individual goals. But the fact is, now they can see that working together across industries, across different sectors, with wineries in other regions, that they can actually receive collective gains as a community. So it's not a fact of a fear of losing attention if you put two logos, your own and that of a wine route. It's actually multiplying the attention that you're receiving as an individual business. So this is both a challenge in the sense that this has not been achieved yet. This is a development progress. It's in development, I would say, but we can already see that those who have come on board and took up ownership over the overall program and seen their individual and collective gains in it, then the impact is really positive and tremendous and inspiring for others.
Okay, thank you. So it's more not a zero-sum game, but rather making bigger the pie for everyone. Yes. Anyone wants to share any key success factor?
I would like to mention that for the all wine world people, we have the same challenge that the young generation, the consumption is decreasing, and we have faced with this problem. Yeah, the wine tourism, I think, is a big opportunity to change this. So, but we should think about this, how to make easier to understand about wine. I think it's more complicated because we did research, many other organizations did the research why the young generation, they don't drink the wine, and they almost everywhere the first answer it was that because it's too snobby. So we need to change this through wine tourism. Because the wine tourism is not a matter to just present the wine sector, to tell about wine, how it's making the vineyards, how they're nuts, etc. We should feel to understand what we are providing to this young generation. I think it's a big challenge for us, and as I mentioned, this wine tourism is really very good opportunity for us to change this and to bring more maybe fun, not funny, but fun, that this generation will be more closer to this wine region. I think somehow it's a challenge, but on the other hand, it's opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Zara.
I will.
Yes,
you have. I will speak from both sides. Well, thank you very much for your question. Yes, as my colleagues already mentioned, some of the opportunities that we have from one side, but I go back to your presentation regarding heritage innovation, and I think it's opportunity because we somehow need to develop this and more promote our heritage, because this is our story behind. It's not just a wine tasting; it's an experience behind, and this experience will. It's a great opportunity for many of our wine companies that offer this opportunity for our guests. But for sure, take into consideration not just the heritage, the challenge that we face around our countries, around our people working in the sector. For sure, more opportunities for them, more marketing campaign for them, more attractive experience that they will develop. This will be an added value for promoting our this very important element of wine tourism. As I mentioned, wine tourism in Moldova, it's a driver of our touristic offer. That's why we invest a lot in biggest wine companies that already offer a lot of facilities for tourist facilities for our guests, but as well small producers, small people that start to produce wine thanks to the support that we offer. But for sure, this element of this dynamic approach, it's very important for showing the added value of wine tourism as an important element of economic, social, and community development. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrei. Well, do we have any question from the public? And someone wants to answer, to have a question? If not, I have a second question over here, ready? No one? Okay. I will do the second question. we talked about the key factors of success. What about the challenges? What is the main challenge today? What can you find over there? Who wants to start? Zara?
Political issues.
Political issues?
Yes, because especially for us, it's make so many challenges and difficulties. Because it's the wine tourism, it's joy, it's an enjoyable process, yeah. But when you're faced with these problems that we saw what is happening in the country, outside of the country, in the world, it's the biggest challenge for us. It's not challenge, but it's a problem.
Okay. Anyone else wants to share something?
In my first, so to say, statement, I already mentioned one, which is this maybe the other side of the coin is not really having a sense of ownership, but ownership over a larger brand, ownership over a larger program, and working on it collectively. But to add to that, I would say that a key challenge and obstacle that is present, I would say, almost everywhere when it comes to tourism is this lack of workforce skills. And this is extremely important because wine tourism is also part of the overall tourism fabric in a country. Yes. And this is a challenge that we're seeing and that we're trying to address. Obviously, the paradigm has shifted the industry, and so to say, the world no longer has the patience to wait for 3 or 4 or 5 years of university or any types of studies. So we're moving towards fast reskilling and upskilling types of non-formal education courses to try to elevate the standards of hospitality across the industry. And this is really important because we see waiters and receptionists, they're all parts of the overall, as I said, value chain of people working on Herzegovina wine route and in the tourism sector, and they need to know how to address customers, how to basically service them with the overall picture of what Herzegovina wine route really is.
Okay. Yes, Andrei, Victoria, you want to go ahead? Sharing any challenge?
Maybe just to add to our colleagues from Bosnia, yes, for sure, political stability is something that it's very important because wine tourism is a business, and for sure, business need predictability, business need support, business need a very clear approach from that side. That's why our model of Wine of Moldova, it's a combination, it's an organization, a public-private organization, because from one side we have state, from our side we have private sector. That's why, for instance, this is a model that we have as a success story, but for sure, challenges there is, well, from many point of view, starting from human resources that we have in the sector, what are the marketing campaign and marketing approach that we should to have, ending by the situation around that we have with geopolitical instability or some wars that we have in our regions. That's why challenge should be an opportunity for sure, but for that we need a very clear and a clear vision for developing the sector.
Thank you, Andrei. Victoria, want to add something? No? No? Thank you. Well, I invite you to give a warm round of applause to this great panel, and we continue with the content. Thank you so much.
Many thanks to all. Please don't leave the stage. We need to do group photo. Thank you. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, everything is fine. Okay, and thank you once again, Juan Parodi, for leading this important debate, and many thanks to our distinguished speakers, Andrei, Zarohi, Nina, and Victoria. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into one key aspect of this innovative future and consider how we can engage with a global audience that is increasingly digitally connected. To shed light on this, I invite Alder Yarrow from the United States to the stage. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you. He is described by San Francisco Chronicle as the wine world's brightest cyberstar. Alder is a pioneer in wine blogging since 2004. He has been publishing daily articles on his renowned blog, vinography.com. The stage is yours, sir, please.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give a brief introduction to the idea and the importance of storytelling, and then I'll call up a wonderful panel of experts and we'll have a bit of a discussion and an opportunity for you to ask questions of some people who really know what they're doing in this arena of storytelling, and in particular digital storytelling. Storytelling is a hot word these days. You hear it everywhere on the internet. It's very easy to think about it as a trend or as a fashion or as something that maybe creative people do in back rooms and on interesting evenings. But I'm here to tell you that storytelling is about money. Story actually has value. And one of my favorite ways of speaking about this is to talk about a project where a couple of researchers actually attempted to prove the value of story. And they did that through a project called the Significant Objects Project. It was very simple. They went to junk sales, garage sales we call them in the United States, and they bought small, insignificant objects for maybe less than $10. They never haggled about the price. They always paid exactly what the person who was selling the object asked the price. And then they hired professional writers to write stories about these objects, like this little yellow bear. And then they simply took those objects and those stories and they posted them for sale on eBay, the global auction website. And when they did that, they saw how much people were willing to pay for those individual objects. Things they bought for $1, things they bought for $5. Some of these slides are missing, so you don't get a slide with the punchline, but think for a moment of what you think the average increase in price would be for a little plastic yellow bear that some professional writer wrote a story about and then was posted on eBay. Maybe an additional $2, an additional $5. No, the average increase in price of these objects when resold with stories about them was an increase of 2,802%. Objects that were purchased for $1 sold for $50. Objects that were purchased for $5 sold for $100. So story has real value. Figuring out what your story is and telling it well can make you money, which is, at the end of the day, we're not in the charity business here in the wine industry. We're about building businesses that succeed, that help people with their livelihoods, and help grow the importance and interest and significance of regions like the one that we're in today, Armenia. So, how do you do that? It's not like you can just wake up one day and tell a fabulous story. It's a skill. And so I've got 4 folks who are going to come up and we're going to talk about exactly how to do that. If my 4 panelists would please come up. Let's see. Yeah, my slide introducing them is gone, so we'll use the one back here. So first, Eric Wagnon. He is the CEO and founder of Vintrail Pro, which is a soup-to-nuts, start-to-finish digital platform for wineries, helping them with everything from customer acquisition, to bookings, to e-commerce, to customer relationship management. When it comes to covering the realm of digital, Eric is a wonderful expert. I've also got Adela Pereira, who is a professional consultant, the CEO of her own consulting company based in Spain. She helps wineries and wine regions with tourism accelerators and driving engagement and attendance. I've got Jochen Heusner, who's a digital expert and researcher. He's based in the Alto Adige region of Italy, works with Geisenheim University, and is also a consultant across many areas of digital media and engagement. And then finally, I've got Paul Wagner, who is many things, among others, an instructor at the Culinary Institute of America and Napa Valley College, but also the founder of one of the largest PR companies in the United States, Balzac. And so the four of us are going to have a brief discussion and then an opportunity for you to ask some questions about storytelling. But let's get started with maybe some of the basics. Paul, what is storytelling? You have a way of thinking about the components of storytelling that I think is very simple, very straightforward, and is very important for people to keep in mind throughout this entire discussion.
Yeah, one of the things I see every time I hear someone has a great story is they don't know what a story is. And a story has to have some basic elements. A story has to have characters. You cannot tell a story about a thing. You have to tell a story about people. Second of all, that person needs to have a problem. Because if that person doesn't have a problem, there's no story. And then third of all, that problem has to involve a challenge, a struggle, an effort that leads to a climax and a solution. And if your story doesn't have those elements, you are not telling a story, you're just talking.
Excellent, thank you. As I said before, you can't just wake up, even if you know those components of storytelling, you can't just wake up and tell a great story. There's some preparation, some planning that has to go into this. Jochen, we've spoken a little bit about this from your perspective. You have a way of thinking about, well, all right, how do you get started? What are some of the first steps? What's perhaps a process or a framework for thinking about how you go about telling your story as a winery or as a wine region?
And it's obviously, you introduced me as a consultant, and I don't want to stress that, but like, it really helps to get someone professional can help you with that story, because we all think we know who we are, but we don't, like most of us don't. And it's very important to figure that out. What's the origin? What's the key values that you have? Also, know your audience. So the second thing is like, you really need to understand who you're trying to pitch to. Third is like, when we talk about digital storytelling, is like content creation. So it's the first question is, what's the message I want to relate? And Paul said, like, I wouldn't call it a problem, you know, but it's like, there's something that you want to communicate. There's something that you want to say. There's a story about it. And maybe I think we'll talk about examples later so we become clearer. And the fourth one is, it's like, how do you want to communicate? So what are the platforms do you want to use? And you introduced me also as a digitalization expert, but like, there are platforms that I don't fully comprehend, but for me, that's not a problem. But that's the thing, you need to understand which platforms, which media you want to use to communicate that.
That's great, and a wonderful segue to a guy who's built a platform in some ways to help wineries do that. Eric, do you want to talk about maybe some of the thinking that went behind your product and how perhaps you see people not understanding the power of a platform or the right way and place to begin engaging with digital platforms?
Yes, I think that the biggest problem that we've got is we don't look at the full customer journey. We're not looking at all the ways that we need to be able to communicate and connect with that storytelling.
I'm not sure your microphone is on.
It's on.
Yeah?
There.
Okay. Can you hear? All right, sorry.
Yeah, so basically we're looking to be able to create a full customer journey, and we're trying to create that story throughout that entire customer journey, because we spend a lot of time trying to bring people into a winery or into a region, but we don't necessarily find the right tools and the right ways to be able to make sure that they're going to stay, that they're going to find what they want, so we can increase their spending and so forth. So it's very important to know exactly where you're going to do your channels, where you're going to create your stories, and to create a continuity. So for example, we've got a very small winery that's working with us. They only do about 5,000 bottles a year, but they've got the storytelling right, with the visual storytelling through to the website. So they've got all the social media, website, booking solutions, wine sales solutions, which are all in place. And this allows them to be able to be completely sustainable and sell all their wines into a long term. And this is very important. I think that storytelling just flows right the way through.
Yeah, continuity, very, very important. We don't like stories that are choppy. We don't like stories that are interrupted. And we all know that a story is not simply one moment in time, but a series of moments. And those moments have to be linked. You have to be able to move from one to the other. One of the other things about those stories, though, is that they have to be authentic. You know, this is a word that we throw around a lot. And Adela, you've done some thinking about this, and I think you work with your customers about this. What does that mean for a story to be authentic, and how do you get to authenticity when you're storytelling?
I mean, in my opinion and in my experience, human beings are real liar detectors. Who wants to be lied? Nobody wants. So we feel that. And in wineries, and something that Paul was talking about. Conflict. Where's conflict? Authenticity means conflict. You can't relate, you know, when you go to a winery, first thing you hear about, it's barrels, it's tanks, it's soils. There's no connection. There's no authenticity. They don't touch your heart. If you're a human, you have a relationship with a person, you can connect with that person, that's authentic. But which kind of connection could I have with a barrel? Sorry, to a vineyard, just the bottle. The authenticity comes from connecting one human being to another human being, sharing core values, not processes, not fermentations, just share who you are, what makes you wake up in the morning, what moves you, why you wake up and you don't go to a 9-to-5 job, you go to your winery. What makes you do that? What moves you? That's authenticity. Not, please, just let's pray for, let's pray to stop this terroir thing, this barrels, it's malolactic, all this industrial. I mean, how many wineries have you been to? Thousands. Yeah. Among all of us, thousands. And it's all the same, nearly the same story. Please, let's stop it. Let's hold our hands and pray to stop this.
Yes. Well, when you invite guests over to your home to have dinner, right, you don't begin by saying, well, this is our dining room table. And as you can see, we have 8 chairs. They're designed for people to sit in them. Underneath there's a rug. Our rug is very special. It's a very unique rug, right? And as you can see over there, there's kitchen and pots and pans, and we're going to be using those to make the dinner that we're going to eat. No, we say none of those things,
no,
right?
Be careful, because everything here is very, very difficult. You don't say that either. No?
Yes.
So let's try to, authenticity means being human.
Yeah.
That's it.
And relationships, I
think,
is quite important. And engagement is the first step in relationship, is it not? Which is to say that you actually have to connect with somebody. And so what are some of the strategies for thinking about how you establish that relationship? Yes, story is the larger narrative that we're going to be taking somebody through in terms of a journey. But the very first thing we have to do is we have to get their attention. What are some of the ways that you think of beginning that engagement with customers, whether that's a particular channel or a particular method of reaching out and starting that conversation, starting that journey of relationship with customers? This is open to anybody who's got something to say.
I think you need to create a persona. You need to know who you're targeting and who you want to communicate to, because you know, there's different people. We can have a look at everyone in this audience, and everyone here is probably interested in different styles of things and different elements. By creating a persona, you can create the story which will resonate with them, because that's who you're looking to. If you have a story that resonates, if you can imagine you've gone and visited 5 or 6 wineries in a day maybe, and by the end of that day, you won't remember a single name of a single winery, unless there's a winery that has a particular story which resonates with you. And if that resonates with you, then you're going to remember that. And that is a story that you are going to tell of your wine trip. And that's the person that you want to be. So make sure you know who you're targeting, who your customers are, and create a story that will resonate with them and make it authentic.
I mean, you are fully equipped for that. We are fully equipped for that. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you have to use them in that proportion. You have to listen, double, and then talk a little bit. That's a conversation, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Paul?
Yeah, I have a particular perspective on this because when I was a little kid, I was always the little boy in the back of the room throwing things at the other students. I was bored. And I always think when I'm making a presentation, my job is not to talk to this audience. My job is to talk to that little kid in the back who's bored. And if I can keep that kid entertained, everybody else is going to be fine. And there's an old story about the man who was legendary in his ability to train horses. He could just give little signals with his hands or make a whisper, and the horse would do anything he wanted. So a television crew came up, and they wanted to see him start work with the horse. And he walked out into the paddock with the horse, and he picked up a big stick, and he went wham! And he hit the horse right over the head. And they said, "My God, this is horrible. What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, first you have to get their attention. Start every story with something that gets their attention."
And please, fun, please, let's stop these boring stories.
Yes.
Please, another tray.
It's a lot of prayers. No, I just want to add one thing because it relates to what you just said and what Eric said. Like, you need to create a persona, and again, goes back to the fact that like you need to understand who you are. So what are you talking about and who you talk to. So I agree and I disagree when you say it's like those technical aspects. If this is really you, that could be something that you talk about. And if you're targeting an audience, you talk wine geeks, for example. I walk into wineries, I ask the most stupid questions, and it's like, don't give up until I get the answer. And it's like, maybe that is something that you want to communicate. So that's important. Like you say, you need to know who you are addressing. If it's the boy in the back, well, so be it.
Yeah. I'd asked you all to think about some great examples of storytelling, because I think it's quite illustrative. We can have an academic conversation up here about knowing who you are and knowing who your audience is, but I think people can relate to actual examples of how people have developed storytelling. So I don't know if anybody would like to go first, but I'm quite interested in who you think perhaps are some great examples. Paul, do you want to start?
Well, it's not a story I heard. What indicated that this was a great story is that I sent a group of wine fans on a wine tourism visit in Catalonia. And they came back to tell me the story they heard because it affected them so much. And to me, that's the definition of a great story. Not that it makes a friend for the brand, not that it convinces someone about your positioning. A great story is one that when they leave the winery, they say, "I'm going to call one of my friends and tell them this story." Story was, they arrived in the tasting room, there was a young woman there, obviously pregnant, and she was crying. And they said, "My God, what's wrong? Should we leave?" And she said, No, I'm sorry, it's not your problem. I'm just having a difficult time. Let me pour you some wine. Well, they started talking and talking, and it turned out she is the only child. Her grandfather grew grapes and made wine under his label. Her father continued the family tradition. They had only one child, the woman, the girl, working in the tasting room. She was married. She was expecting a baby. And that morning, she had just had a very serious argument with her husband because she wanted to suggest that since the grandfather and the father and she all shared this last name, that their baby should be given her family name, not his. And he was opposed to this. And by the time she finished the story, she had 8 soldiers ready to go to battle. They were going to talk to the husband immediately.
Some stories just happen. Not be planned. So, yes. Anyone else have
Do you want to go first?
No, you go.
As I mentioned before, so one of the great storytellers is, it doesn't matter if you're a big winery or a small winery, it needs that real consistency. You need to choose the channels that you're really going to target. We can't all do TikTok and everything that's out there. You know, we really need to choose, like we said before, focus on your persona and create the story that you want to be able to do. And find the experience, create an experience that is adapted to those people as well, because otherwise it simply doesn't work. So this winery, it's only a tiny winery in Etna, and they did it very well. They've got a fantastic Instagram, lots of real visual elements, and it's all based on food and wine, which is another one of those great things, because by attracting people that love food, and there's a lot more of them than that love wine, you're going to bring them in, and then you can potentially create a new wine there. So this is, you can widen your scope. They've created an experience which is not in the cheapest realm. It's about €50 for the experience. Well, they started last year with us, and they were doing about 3,000, and then they connected up all the right channels and had the right story, and basically automated the process, and they're going to get over 5,000 bookings now, which is fantastic. But they put all the elements into their story and created a frictionless environment where the customer seamlessly right the way through, and then when they arrive at the winery, same seamlessness happens and right through. So at the end, they have a perfect memory which is long-lasting and which they will talk to their friends about.
So Eric, what's their story?
Their story is basically they were creating a small winery from nothing. It's a very small winery, small hectare, and they wanted to introduce people to their wine, but also to the food, and not only their own wines, but the wines of the region. So they were looking to bring a story of discovery of that region, where people would wanting to come there, but people generally, they go to a region they want to discover. They don't necessarily just want to discover one wine or one thing. They want to discover the region, and if they can do that in one place, then they've won. And that's how their whole story is. So their story is about the area, about how they're looking to be able to bring that area to that region, and at the same time you have this wonderful opportunity to discover the winery, which is very small, but to discover the food. And so they've got all of these steps right the way through, which lead the customer from the beginning, the discovery, to the end of the satisfaction. Adela?
It's not exactly an example of a winery, but I guess that as we are talking about digital, could be a good example. We had a podcast, and a year ago we produced one of the conversations. It's basically a conversation podcast. Some of you have been invited as guests in the podcast, and we produced it with AI. AI, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Spanish word, yeah. Yeah, exactly that. We're talking about. It was our podcast is conversations, and we would like to have like what we call impossible conversations. So we produced like the whole thing with IA. Good now, with IA, and we had 3 conversations. First of all, with Julius Caesar, talking about wine.
How is he?
He's great. He loves wine. Well, he's working on it.
Good to know.
Good. Second conversation was with Bev Clicquot from France, the lady of Champagne, and the third one was with Émile Peinot, father of winemaking as we know it today. It was fun. It was like lots of work, really. That's something we were talking before. Like, we all think that all digital tools are gonna make the job for us, but it's not like that. You have to put lots and lots of hours into that. But it works, and it was. Can you hear me?
No, your mic is gone.
Yeah.
You've talked enough.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good.
No.
Something to do
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's AI.
So we did everything with this new tool, and I would like to talk. I wanted to talk to you about this because I think that we in the winery world, we are so used to the business as usual, that technology, we find it scary. We find it very intimidating, but it's not. It's a new tool. It's here to stay. It can be very challenging and rewarding at the same time. So don't be afraid of technology. Don't be afraid of artificial intelligence. We all are using it for such a lots and lots of things. The future goes there, and we have to go there. I mean, wine is like more restricted thing, but we are into tourism. That's something so different.
Yes, but it's not going to be a magic answer, is it? Okay.
No, that's what we were talking about. You know, it's like we all walk into this with the expectations. Like, so I work a lot with generative AI. No, you confused me. This is like next month I'll be talking with the OIV. It's like about like text to video models, and it's like how that is going to change video marketing, as we know.
Explain what text to video models.
So basically, it's like we all know ChatGPT, and we ask a question, it comes back with an answer. And what is happening? There's like they've developed something that's called Sora, and Google has a similar thing. It's like the other tools like that. And you enter basically a description, it comes out with a video. So just think about like you talk about like small wineries. You know, it's like if you see something as impressive as we've seen like from the speakers on the previous panel, how much time and money goes into it. But having said that, like this, like social media, like everything, technology is an instrument. It's a tool that can be used, but we should never assume that it does it by itself. You know, social media is like a very powerful tool, but you need to understand it, you need to put work into it. And that's the thing, we need to kind of like transmit that knowledge or that idea, because it's not doing it by itself.
Yeah. And it's not enough to just dedicate a couple hours a day to doing this if you're a winemaker or a winery owner, is it, Paul?
No, this is one of my pet peeves. You know, Adela was making prayers. My prayer is a little different, because wineries, when they start to make wine, they go get expert advice on viticulture. They get expert advice on enology, and then they decide they're going to tell their story, and they shouldn't. They should get expert advice on how to tell the story. They should hire a professional writer. They should, if they're seriously interested in doing it themselves, they should go to drama school, because presenting your story is an act of theater. If you give your tour at the end of the at the winery, and at the end of the tour everyone says, "That was very nice," you have failed. Because the goal of your tour should be, when you finish, you should have an army of 8 people ready to carry your bottles into the next room and argue with your husband, or go to their local restaurant and sell your wine, because they are enthusiastic about your product. And you can't do that unless you have real talent and you really understand theater, creative writing, and presentation skills. If you don't study those, don't do it.
Yes, and it is not enough to have a 20-year-old niece who happens to be very good at TikTok or Instagram. That may help you actually get some stuff done, but that's not going to help you craft a compelling, authentic, engaging story that is really going to differentiate you, which is a word we haven't used very much yet in today's conversation. Differentiate you from all the other wineries that you may not think of as strict competitors, like you're fighting them, but they are a competition that you have to stand apart from. You have to have your story that makes you distinctive, that makes people remember and want to tell their friends where they were that day and what was important.
And can I just make a note about that really quick? Every winery on the planet does a competitive set tasting. They buy the wines from competitive wineries, they taste those wines, and they see, how does my wine compare with the rest? No winery does a competitive set comparison of their website, of their story, of their visitor experience, and yet those are the things that visitors are going to use way more than what your wine tastes like to decide whether they're going to buy the bottle or not.
That's exactly right. You have what's called the 7-second rule.
Yeah.
So when someone's going to land on your website, within 7 seconds, they would have made their opinion about whether they want to visit your winery or whether they think that it's worthwhile. But then from there, from the 7-second rule, if you have a website that is hard to navigate, that is slow to load, that has frictions everywhere, once again, you're going to lose them before they actually get to the checkout. And these are the things that are so essential. And we talk to wineries, and they're going to say to you, well, I know how to make wine. People know that I know how to make wine. But what about the people who don't know that you know how to make wine and looking at your website to have an idea on whether they think that you know how to make wine? And if your website looks bad, then they are going to consider that your wine is bad, no matter how good it is in reality.
Yeah, or at the very least, that they can't tell what the difference is between you and the 3 other winery websites that they look at when they're trying to
3,000,
decide.
not 3, it's 3,000. 10,000, it's like, that's the point.
And that's what you were talking about when you say you have to know who you are.
I think it's like Victoria was saying, excellent. Differentiate, like you were saying. It's like, you know, it's like, and everywhere we go, we like see this one into wasn't beautiful in a way.
Perfect. Beautiful, it's perfect. Flawless.
And get to another point that you made earlier, talking about example. What about like an example, like, because it relates, and I is Alto Adige project, but I want on decide to do something called wine tail, and again, and the problem is it's in a mountain. Armenia, you have to do a lot of manual labor, so that increases costs, obviously. That's the one thing with the quality, so what we produce is really worth. What they did is mountaineer, and a little bit more, and he once a steepest vineyard in the world, only managed to produce. You have like how it's and they like quality, and there's obviously a band playing in the cellar. You see and he says this, you think I'm telling fairy tales? There's only one way. So something like that, it's brilliant, it's textbook. It creates, you've got the authority, people, this is a guy, and if you, it's not as it is there. But the key thing, fun, obviously it's not, you don't the vines, but like it's just really like, you know, which may they put user created content act to interesting, the fun part, and like you were create
No.
Especially if we're talking tourism.
Tourism. Sana was talking before about that. We have a problem with young people, right? So let's make fun. Let's make wine fun.
Absolutely. So I think we need to transition at this point to some Q&A. I hope some of you will take advantage of this opportunity with these four experts up here on the stage to ask them some questions that might be specific to your situation or about storytelling in general. I'm going to look to my hosts to tell me how many minutes we have left for questions, just so I can gauge. Okay, great. So we do have some time for some questions. Looks like we've got one over here on the right-hand side. Are we passing microphones around, or should we just make this gentleman yell? I think just yell. I can do it. All right. Excellent. I can hear you in all. For everybody. Okay, so great panel there. Thank you very much, all of you guys, for such an exciting session. I mean, it's great. On paper, everything works fantastic. But one thing that Paul just said about the theater. Go ahead, I'll repeat the question. Well, there was one sentence I managed. Work is theater. So in our wineries, what we have are actors, actresses, but at the end of the day, they are human beings. And maybe they have like 5 visits. What do we do in order not to sound them like a big robotic, monotonous? How to maintain, keep that authenticity along the day? Great question. So he was referencing Paul's comment about this being theater. And about some of our comments here about this being entertainment and fun. And we've got winery employees, right, who work at these wineries, and they may take, I see five tours a day, maybe 20 tours a day. And the question is, how do we maintain that sense of authenticity and engagement and not make it sort of start to sound like the same presentation over and over again?
I was hiring once for a company that had a problem. Their building had been closed because of earthquakes, and they were doing tasting in a tent out front. And I asked every applicant, how do you handle getting asked the same question 100 times a day? And I had one person I hired immediately, because he said, it's not the 100th time they've asked the question. It's the first time for them. So if you are hiring people to give a presentation to the ceiling, they will be robotic. But if you're hiring people who are giving presentations to an audience, the audience is live, and the communication has to be real. And if they're doing interactions, if they're not getting energy from the audience, they shouldn't be doing tours.
I mean, we've all had the experience of going to a restaurant in the hospitality context and having a waiter that might as well be a doormat. The menu on the table sort of waits for you to make a decision as opposed to engaging you, finding out, is this your anniversary? Why are you here? What are you excited about? Do you have any questions? Right? You said listening earlier, Adela, right? That's a key component to this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, this isn't a theater performance. Gentleman who asked the question. It's not a theater performance with an audience sitting there simply waiting to hear the speech, the same lines that you give every day. It's an actual conversation. It's a relationship. It's a moment in time. It's inviting somebody over to have dinner at your house, and you don't say the same thing. You have a conversation. You want to find out about them. You want them to tell you what they're interested in and to guide the experience.
So I was once running the hospitality program of a large winery, and I received a phone call from my boss that the most knowledgeable wine person in America was bringing a group to the winery. I said, great. And he said, and I want you to give the visit personally. And I thought, great. Daryl Cordy. So this gentleman arrived, and I greeted him, and I took him into the cellar, and we're going to show him the barrels and the tanks and the vineyards, and I get to the front of the tanks, and I say, now, we make our wine in stainless steel tanks, and I looked at this expert, and I thought, what in God's name am I going to tell this man that he doesn't already know? And I said, Daryl, would you like to explain why we ferment at different temperatures? And Daryl said, well, yes. And he gave a beautiful explanation. You know, the cooler temperatures limit the blah, blah, and the beautiful explanation. We went into the barrel room. We put our wine in barrels for two basic reasons. Daryl, would you like to explain? At every step of the tour, I simply turned the tour over to the man who knows more about wine than anyone in America, and he gave a beautiful tour. Well, he left. My boss called and said, how did it go? And I said, I think it was okay. 4 days later, I got a call from the president of the winery. He said, I just received a letter from Daryl Cordy. He said it was the best winery visit he had ever had.
Know your audience. There you go. Is there another question out there? Yes, the young lady in front. Go ahead and ask, and I'll repeat.
Hello, I'm Mary Badalan, co-founder and organizer of Yerevan Wine Days. Maybe a lot of you hear about it during these days. It is the biggest wine festival in Armenia. So we are actually struggling to tell our stories and how to tell the stories of the festival, because we have almost all wineries in Armenia are presented, and it is only Armenian wines. And you are here experts, you know more wine festivals, you visited more. Can you tell me, I mean, what kind of stories, best examples of the wine festivals, wine and gastro festivals you have? Maybe it will help us to just create and think about the directions. Thank you.
Adela, do you have any starting points?
To me, it's, sorry to insist on that again, but it's people again.
Yes.
Just talk about people behind those wines. People drinking wines and people producing wines. And even the relationship between of those. That would be wonderful. Like the connection between the winemaker and the people assisting those fair trades or whatever, those festivals, those festivals. That would be a very beautiful story, like connecting. That conversation would be great.
Yeah, because
So
the
try that.
festival's not just a place you go to drink wine, right? You can do that at a wine bar, you can go into a wine shop and buy a bottle, but what's unique about a festival is the person standing behind that table.
Yes, you can get to know that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question.
Did you have a follow-up?
Yes, actually, thank you. But it's very, thank you for the example, it's great. But what if you want to, the whole story of the winemaking of your country? I mean, about that narrative, how you create that narrative. I mean, it's personal, we are doing personal, and we will, of course, improve that. But what about that you want to be a face of your winemaking, the country's face?
Paul?
Yeah, well, I talked to Alder about this today. Because 6,000 years ago, in a cave in the Caucasus, there was one small candle that was lit. And to the people who lit that candle, it must have seemed like the world around them was darkness. And for 6,000 years, that group of people has protected that candle. And they created their own art, they created their own culture, their own music, their own carpets, their own jewelry, the jewelry that glittered in reflection of the candle.
You have the big story. I mean, you
it
have
was-
it.
hang
You don't
on,
have to look.
Wait,
don't
still
interrupt
going.
the story.
He's still going.
because that candle was threatened. There were storms and wind and rain. There were Persians and Muslims and Turks and Russians and more Turks and more Muslims. But that group of people kept the language, their own alphabet, those carpets. They kept their food, everything alive. And about 15, 20 years ago, something amazing happened. Because candles started appearing in other parts of the country. And now, there are more than 150 candles. And when you are hosting some friends at your house,
and you're going to set the table, and you're going to put a beautiful tablecloth with a nice pattern on it, and silverware that will reflect in the candlelight. But one of the things you should do is include in that dinner a bottle of wine from Armenia.
And there you go, folks.
Yeah.
Storytelling in action. I think we're at time. We need to wrap up. That's a wonderful way to wrap up. Thank you, Paul. Many of us have gotten that inspiration over the course of our time here thus far. I don't know what's next on the agenda, but hopefully someone will tell us.
The guy behind you.
Thank you.
There you are. I was looking for you.
Thank you very much. And let's have a group photo, please.
Oh, yeah.
Please stand in the center of our stage.
Wait.
I think we need smiles here. Say wine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward with the program, we have the privilege of welcoming one of the world's leading wineries, a remarkable success story from Argentina. Please join me in welcoming Carolina Fuller, Head of Hospitality at Catina Zapata, who will share an inspiring story of how two doctor sisters, their visionary a team of passionate wine scientists and dedicated tour guide actors transformed Catina Zapata into 2023 #1 world's best vineyard. Please give her a Please turn on the microphone.
No, again. Hello? There we are. How are you all today? Difficult, eh? Difficult after such a panel to hold the fort now. We'll do our best, and we'll do it in 15 minutes. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more extended. So, okay, before we start, thank you. Yes, it's over here. So, Catina Zapata. And before we start, everybody looks at my hat. So there is a story behind the hat. These are not my pins. I don't buy the pins when I go traveling, etc. These are stories. Each pin has a story of somebody that has visited the winery and that has some connection with the winery or with me. It has a story. So I sort of tell my sons that when I get my grandchildren, they're a bit slow coaches in that aspect, then I will tell the story of the pins every single night. It won't be a story of a book. It will be about people that I have had obviously a certain connection and stories of travels, etc., of course, but they're all with people that have visited the winery and have had a connection with me during my long life for this time. Okay, Catina Zapata. Catina Zapata, I think most of you have heard of Catina Zapata. We are very proud of this winery and a pyramid. So we will start with this story, a pyramid. Why a pyramid? Well, Nicolás Catina Zapata, when he was actually in the States, and when he came back after 2 years of giving talks in the Berkeley University, he said, okay, I want to renew my, my wine. I want to make Argentina one of the best areas for winemaking, and Mendoza specifically. Now, he knew that he had all the ingredients. He had the soil, he had the climate, he had the grapes. So he started creating this, this incredible vineyard and many more. There's 6 vineyards. And then he said, okay, what is going to be my home? My home has to be quite something, I want something awesome, but something that will represent Latin America, that will put Latin America in the map of the wine world. So what did he do? Well, at the beginning, his friends sent him a beautiful sort of design, his architect friends, of a chateau. I said, no, chateaus are very beautiful, and they're in France. Another one said, okay, I'll send you a villa from the Tuscany. Well, no, they're beautiful villas in Tuscany. When even we have a very emblematic building, which is a government building, which is called the Cabildo in Buenos Aires. And he said, no, that's a little bit too political. Huh? So on a trip with the family, they went to Tikal, Guatemala. And they came about this incredible pyramid, which is El Gran Jaguar. The Mayan civilization is very, very emblematic for us Latin Americans because it prevailed for many, many years. And on top of it, there's no discussion of where that pyramid comes from, Latin America. So as a brand, anybody that started studying marketing is been quite incredible as a brand because you see the pyramid and you say, Cadena Zapata. The pyramid was built and inaugurated in 2001, and it was made all with material from the region. Marble, what we call the Travertino marble, and the beautiful sort of stones from the Andes. So when you go into the pyramid, obviously it already has the emblematic stones and the material from the area. Okay, number one winery. We've suddenly skipped something, I think, but well. Yes. Well, things happen. Okay. So, Cadena Zapata in 2023 was sort of nominated number one winery, one of the best world vineyards. How did we get there? It's not a fluke of luck. It's not from one day to another. It was actually a lot of work that has happened during the last maybe 122 years of the family. The family started with our Nicola. Nicola came over from Le Marche in Italy, and you can imagine when he came over to Argentina, it was an adventure. Some families got on famously, others had quite a dramatic sort of landing. But in the case of Nicola, he knew a family already here in the area of Santa Fe. So this family very generously opened the doors of their home so that he could actually stay there with the Moschetta family. So that's how they started out, already with somebody very generously opening the doors of their home and showing them obviously the ways of life in Argentina. But there he always said, okay, but I want my vineyard. So therefore, in 1902, he finally purchases his first 10 hectares. So the story starts with 10 hectares. And nowadays, of course, it's a winery that is world-renowned, but it has to do with all the vision of the whole family. 4 generations of family that have always looked for the best in their wine. They've always focused on getting the Argentine wine into the map. So, the Catena family, in the case of Nicolás Catena Zapata, he's always been with this vision of elevating the Argentine wine. Now, how do we get to be known all over the world? Catena Zapata receives daily about 200 people per day, okay? We are always fully booked, and everybody's sort of saying, oh, what happens? We're always fully booked, you never can get a place there. Well, it has to do with these actors. It has to do with the focus on actually wanting to get to the general public, making extraordinary wines. It has to do with extraordinary wines, with focusing and promoting, and actually having, let's say, the family in the limelight. Because if you follow Laura on Instagram, you'll see that she's always there. She's in China, she's in Germany, she's suddenly in Argentina. She's all over the place, okay? But she always tells the story of what is happening to her at that day and age, okay? So they're focused on Malbec. Malbec was a variety that Nicolas, when he went to the States, back to the States, he said, okay, this Malbec is going to be a higher price. Why? Well, because it's a unique variety, okay? And it's Chardonnay, but everybody said, no, your Chardonnay, what happens with your Chardonnay? Your Chardonnay is already well known. He said, no, my Chardonnay is a very good Chardonnay, but you try it against any other of your Chardonnays. And that's how we started out, so selling the wines at maybe a higher price, okay? Lots of prizes, and this, let's say, this is a lifelong and a lifetime achievement that this family, and especially Nicolas, has got. Nicolas is 85 years old, but he goes every day to the office. a little later, not so early in the morning, but he goes every day to the office to see what is happening over there, okay? So, Catena Institute of Wine. Laura in 1995 was a little bit sort of tired that nobody tried their wine. She went to these wonderful fairs and they would just go by her stand and nobody would try her wine. He said, well, no, that wine, well, it's not a good wine. Yes, no, it is a good wine. So she said, okay. She is a biologist. She studied in Harvard, and then she's also a pediatric emergency doctor. So therefore, for her, everything has to be focused scientifically. She has to show scientifically, and then nobody can refute it. So therefore, she created the Catena Institute of Wine. This is a group of extraordinary, I call them very, with all the love of my heart, nerds, great nerds, that they focus on investigating, okay? And this is incredible because Laura is leaving a heritage. We mothers always say, hey, you're going to study, and that's going to be your inheritance. You're going to have these elements so that you can go through life with a whole lot of knowledge. Well, this is what the inheritance the Catena Institute of Wine is leaving, this inheritance of knowledge. In this case, it's a vivero called Supersonic, quite an ambitious name, but it's actually a nursery that is got plants that have been what we would call cleaned. These plants are free from virus, and these are the future plants that the Catena Institute of Wine is planting now soon. We're extremely happy, and any of you are going by Argentina or Mendoza soon, this is going to be an extraordinary event, the 15th International Terroir Congress in Mendoza, Argentina, hosted by Catena, but also by the Universidad de Cuyo and the Facultad de Ciencias Agrarias. This is going to be between the 18th and the 22nd, so we're all sort of shaping up and doing all sorts of activities to host this incredible event in Mendoza. First time, it's an event that goes every 2 years, okay? So, we'll continue if it lets me. Okay. So the experiences. Okay, we were talking a lot about the stories, about the tanks, about all these things that we don't want to show anymore because it's all so boring. Well, it also depends on how you tell the story. In the case of Laura, when we opened up, we were closed for 2 years, COVID, and we reopened in 2022. So we tell stories, okay? In the first tour that we have is called Wine and Music. There are studies being made already in the Edinburgh University, Oxford University, that have already studied the brain. And the brain is affected by, obviously, by music. The music affects us in a different way. And so what happens? Well, we have different perceptions of what we're going to taste, or what we're going to eat, if we've got a music that we like or that we don't like. Okay? So what we do is wine and music. We do the tour because they love the pyramid. They want to know every single aspect of the family life of Catena, and they also want to see every little piece of that building. But also they want this, obviously, this experience. And this is what we give them, an experience of pairing wine with music. Each wine is paired with 3 different styles of music, and then obviously everybody suggests, oh, I want, especially the Brazilians, they want to suggest all sorts of different musics. So it's incredible because in this case, this lady had this most incredible voice, and she sang jazz. So imagine the experience at the end of this tasting, and this lady with this incredible voice singing jazz. If not, then we have people that from the opera house that have come, and imagine in the middle of the pyramid singing opera. We all ran out from our offices to see what was happening. And so this is what wine and music gives you. It gives you different experiences. You might come out dancing, you might come out singing, but the idea is that you will come out with all sorts of information because all our guys are sommeliers. So they can cater for people that don't know a clue about wine, and people that have traveled all over the world, okay? In the second slide, we have one of our beautiful guides, Mercedes, that she's explaining the family. Everybody wants to know about every single detail of the family, so we try to cater for all that information. But on top of it, all our labels are referred to the family. So our wines, when you taste them, you will remember that member of the family because you know the story. We usually, if we say that, we try to sort of brainwash people. You see, when you come to our winery, you leave the winery and you go back home, Catena, Catena, I have to buy a bottle of wine of Catena. But this is a bit the impression that we want to give. We want you to fall in love with our winery. In the third, well, we have a wine which is called the Catena Alta. It has 5 ingredients, 5 different Malbecs from different regions. So we are trying to obviously educate our customer on the Malbec. So what we do is quite a bit of a headache for the winemaker because he has to bottle those 5 ingredients separately, especially for us. So those 5 ingredients are tasted. We perceive the aromas. We tell about the terroir. Yes, unfortunately, we're still educating, so we still have to talk about the profile of the soil, but in a very nice way, so that you're, yes, a little bit more relaxing way, and through the wine. So later on, what happens is it will tell you, oh, those 2 ingredients, oh, that makes the Malbec Argentino. Oh, those 5 ingredients, well, in different, obviously in different percentages, it will make you your Catena Alta. But the idea is to understand that it's not one wine. It's 5 different soils that make that wine. And then, when you go back home, when you go and buy a Malbec, what will you do? You will look at the back of the label and see, oh, where does that Malbec come from? Oh, that was a Malbec that I loved. Okay, that's fine. Then I will buy that Malbec. You will understand, and you won't make mistakes, because sometimes one buys a bottle of wine and says, oh, this is a wonderful wine, and actually you haven't got a clue what's gone inside. So, in the end, you are making your own blend. You're deciding which is your Malbec. We will provide you with ours, but in the end, you're the one that's going to decide what is the percentage of the wine that you like. So it's quite an exciting sort of experiment, and at the end, sometimes their maybe blend is better than ours. I don't know. We'll have to see later on. So, apart from having the wonderful winery and these experiences, we also have last year inaugurated our restaurant and our distillery. So this represents where the family came from. The pyramid represents what happened when it arrived here. But in this case, it's the Borgo that represents where they came from Le Marche, from Italy. Their ancestors from 1820 producing wine, okay? This is a beautiful facility. The architect was actually the cousin of Nicolás Catena Zapata, so all in the family. And we give this experience of going through the distillery, which is under the winery was originally from 1920. So first you go and visit the distillery, and then you pop up at the restaurant and in that beautiful sort of patio where we've got a fountain. And we have you try these different distilleries where we have a grappa, we also have a vermouth that's macerated in 30 different herbs, and also we have a brandy. We won't compete with any brandy from here, but I am taking some of the brandy back home, and we will taste it with the winemakers when we get back there. So, and this is Nicolás. Nicolás telling the story because Adriana, the youngest daughter, is a historian. And she's now immersed in the archives of the family. This incredible room full of papers. One would say, oh, these papers. But suddenly, there's a document from 1902. And which is the first document that you would get in a winery in Mendoza? Water rights. Those are the first things that they come. And obviously, later on, there obviously the legal situation. But the water rights, very important to have your water rights. If there's no water, there's nothing, okay? Only 5% of Mendoza is planted. The rest is nothing. And this is because we need the melting of the snow caps. And if you don't have water above ground, you need to look for it underground. But there are no more wells to be had. You have to wait between 15 to 20 years before you can actually have one water right. You have to wait for somebody to close a well before you get one. So this is a beautiful stone, obsidian stone. We believe that the pre-Columbian Indians, they believed that these stones were magical, and they were portals to other parts of your life, and other, as I say, other portals, as you would say. And so we have people look into that glass and see there's a lot of energy. Some people believe a lot in these stones, and they start crying, or they start with all different emotions. But the idea is that you will get positive energy out of this. So, the restaurant. Angelica Restaurant, Cocina Maestra. This is a different concept. It's wine first, okay? So the wines were decided, the flights of wines were decided by Nicolás, by Alejandro Vigil, and by Laura Catena. And then come in these incredible young chefs with all these incredible ideas of pairing off these wines with food. We are now being mentioned in the Michelin guide, so we're very, very happy, and we're still sort of rowing the boat to obviously maybe get a star. We'll see. It's not the focus of getting a star, it's, okay, the recognition to a certain extent. We have a beautiful sort of vegetable garden where they do their harvest every day to get these incredible herbs, nice and fresh herbs. Always have to be authentic materials when you have to make these incredible plates. So, this is part of the information that we want to give. These are vineyards that are extraordinary. They're on the lap of the mountain. And these are these parcels that have given more 100 sort of ratings than maybe most wineries in the southern hemisphere. Now, it's not about the ratings, it's about, okay, a certain recognition to all the work that the winemakers and everybody in the winery does to get these wines exposed to the world. People. We have an incredible team. Human resources. Who was talking about human resources and the difficulty of getting human resources, okay? This is why we have to look after them, okay? We have to teach them. We have to renew the information that they have. We have to go and visit other wineries. Yes, we go every single month. We've got half a day. We go and visit our next door neighbors and see what they're doing. And we also have different times in which we get the winemakers to also put us up to date with what is happening in the market and what is happening with the wines, okay? It's all about people. Here we got all the group of, we were celebrating actually, obviously becoming first winery in the best world vineyards is not a minor feat. And also we're celebrating with people that come to visit us, because this is something that you have to share. You have to share stories, you have to share the moment, because we're all so happy, and the moments sometimes are not. Sometimes it's a pretty hard life sometimes, so therefore we have to share the happy moments also. I want to just give you two other sort of thoughts, okay? When you're starting a winery, or you're starting, maybe I'm really, really happy to be here in Armenia, because I think everything's starting, and it'd be lovely to come back maybe in 10 years' time and see how this has boomed as towards wine tourism. Now, we always talk about the fact that we have to have all these different actors or people to help us out. We can't do it all by ourselves. We need the government. We need the connectivity. We need the wine routes. We need the signals. We need also any association that is association of Wines of Armenia, we got Bodega Argentina, the hotels, even the gas station. At one point we used to invite the gas station, the lady that is from the hairdresser, the other guy that is obviously the one that directs the traffic. We said, okay, get them all on the bus and come and visit us. So that they understand what they've got just next door, okay? You need the whole community to be involved. And so that later on, they will be your best ambassadors. The other ones that are going to say, hey, no, stay a while. Have something to eat at the restaurant just next door. Don't go to the next town, no, next country. Stay here. And then something very, very important. We talk about us, this side, what we want to communicate, what we have to show. Oh, this and that, and the fairs, and this and that, and the other. Now, don't forget your customer, okay? Your customer has done all sorts of things to be able to get that 5 or 6 days or a week holiday, okay? He's had to maybe leave his family or leave his children with their grandmama or whatever he's had to do for that. That is precious time, precious time. And the expectations on that precious time is really, really high. Why? Because they want to find a solution to everything. The lack of communication with the wife, the problems with their adolescent child, everything has to be fixed in that week. And on top of it, you have to have a wonderful time when you come to the winery. Everything has to be perfect. So this is what our responsibility, because we are giving a certain service, and we are giving empathy. We are holding in people that suddenly have all sorts of problems, but on the other hand, we have to know who is our customer and what we're going to communicate. If you tell me the guys, okay, do my guides say everything the same, always the same speech? No, well, it depends on the group that they have. They find out who is in that group and what is happening with those people, okay? And then later on, they get this energy and then they proceed with this tour, okay? So this is very important. Know your customer. See what is it that you can provide as information. And also, maybe you'll have to psychoanalyze some of them, because some of, in our case, it's quite something, the amount of people and the amount of characters that we get. But well, the idea is that when they leave, they find, oh, wow, I had a wonderful time. Those 2 hours that I was at Catena Zapata, they were incredible, okay? So this is more or less my story. Okay, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Carolina, for sharing this inspiring success story. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up this morning's discussions, and before you can taste Armenian amazing food and unique wines, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Sandra Carvago, Director of Market Intelligence, Policies and Competitiveness at UN Tourism, for a caring session. Please give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. It's been a long morning, right? Everyone's wondering when the wine and the food is coming. I'm sure you are. So my name is Sandra Carvalho, as it was mentioned, and I'm in charge of the department that oversees product development at UN Tourism, within which sits gastronomy and wine tourism as well. So I wanted to thank everyone who came to join us, our speakers, but also just picking up on what Carolina was saying. She was talking and I was thinking, oh my God, never thought about that. The pressure on those 5 days of holidays. And just imagine if something goes wrong, you're going to be the reason why there's an argument between the couple the rest of the holidays and when they're back home. Maybe it's a good thought to have for the next experience you think about. So I wanted to ask you to do something we generally don't ask people in conferences, which is to pick your mobile phones. Everyone has their, well, the ones who are not taking pictures, so please pick up your mobile phones, get them ready. We're going to work a little bit together here before you're entitled to actually have your wine glass and your experience here. And I can see some of you are already very experienced with Mentimeter. So what I'm going to ask you is to pick up your phone and type in your web browser menti.com. So menti.com. Very good. And just to warm up where you're from, so we're going to have a little bit of an idea of who's in the room. US, Armenia, Germany, Italy, Argentina, so that we have a little bit of a feeling of who we have next to us sitting in the room and the experiences that we're here to share. Spain, very good. And we have more Germany, a little bit more of Spain, so we have a good Estonia, very interesting. Portugal, Estonia, very nice. Very good. Argentina, Armenia there, Georgia, very good. Gavar in Armenia, Sisian in Armenia, Slovenia, welcome. Portugal, Spain is almost next door to Armenia there, side by side, so we have a good Spanish representativeness here. Italy, very good. So this was just to warm up, because what I want really to try and get from you is we're talking about storytelling. So I'm going to challenge those who have been here for some days already and have experienced Armenia, those who are from here and have a totally different vision of what Armenia is, to tell me one word about Armenia. So heritage, trying to build here some storytelling, but just focusing on selecting that word that resonates, the one that comes to your mind when you think Armenia. If you had to think about, you know, just automatically what pops up when the word Armenia comes. Heritage, definitely. Identity, history, there you go. Diverse, freshness, beautiful. That's a nice one. Hospitable, magic, warm. Very good. Heritage again, warm is definitely a strong word there. Tasty, oh yes. Tasty, I can tell you, since I've arrived, I can prove that. Heritage is definitely a strong word there. And yummy, again, tasty. Authentic, ararat, warm. So good, so if you have to tell the story about Armenia, there's just some pointers that come to your mind. And it's also, you know, if you're back in your winery or destination, this is an interesting exercise to do with your group of people who visit you, or even with the group of your workers. Get those, you know, what's the feeling that immediately comes to your mind? And it's not about thinking a lot. It's really about, you know, what's in your heart and in your mind. So now we're going to work a little bit. And I wanted to ask you, because I think we've talked about communication, digitalization, we've talked about collaboration, we talked about many issues like talent as well. And I'm going to do a little survey here to also feel from your side what are the major challenges that you face when you need to develop your business, your destination in terms of wine tourism. And I'm sure some of these issues will come in the workshops this afternoon and also tomorrow. But it's just as a collective where we're really putting our efforts. So we have climate change, changes in consumer preferences, as we've seen before, younger generations not being so fond of drinking wine, sustainability also as one of the more higher concerns in consumer decisions. We have the coordination among all actors. Carolina mentioned it very well. Everyone needs to be on board. Increased competition, talent and skills, digitalization, and sustainability. So far, talent and skills seems to be one of the biggest challenges. So how do you attract talent? How do you train them? And I think there was a very interesting point from Bosnia and Herzegovina before, which is the short executive training for upskilling and reskilling some of the people is definitely probably one of the solutions or one of the ways to improve that necessity that we have for better and more talent to be attracted. Then as a second, we have coordination among all actors. I think this is probably something very common to all destinations, how you bring everyone together and create a common vision with all the differences that naturally will have to exist. And also digitalization and climate change, obviously, because your production will be affected, the wines that you produce, the future of the industry itself. So if we continue, and you think about your own business or your own destination, apart from the challenges that we've seen, what would you say is your main priority at this point? Where you're most focused in working towards in terms of, again, your business, your destination? What are you really looking at as the first priority in the development of wine tourism for you? So don't be shy. I know it's difficult to choose one, because we all have many challenges and many priorities in our lives today, but one, tour guides. So having talented, skilled tour guides, creating atmosphere, the wine quality, interesting. So quality is definitely very high as a priority. Country image, sustainability, communicating to the world, so really outreaching to the world. Quality still stands there as the most important. Atmosphere, so probably creating that connection between the different elements. Sustainability, creativity. I think that's very interesting. We talked about storytelling before. How do you bring also, and I think this is an interesting point, people from other industries to work with you and enhance that creativity. So good, I think we have sustainability, quality, authenticity, and creativity as probably the priorities. So we know where we're going. But if we go a little bit deeper, and we talked about the challenges that you face, if you look at climate change, for example, what would you say is your biggest challenge when you think about climate change and wine tourism and your own business, destination? What do you think within the scope of changing climate, extreme weather events, and so on? So water, very important. Water availability. Carolina was talking about the rights to water before. Change of mind, very interesting as well, that consumers or change their behavior. The taste of the grapes, production, the hot temperatures that necessarily change also the experience itself. Adaptation, the soil changes, soil health, change in travel habits as well. So definitely I think this is one of the important pieces, obviously, of wine production, but also of wine tourism. And again, the relevance of us seeing the wine tourism experience in a territory. The minister said generally wine tourism happens outside the cities. It happens in very specific territories. And we cannot forget about that. So next challenge in terms of consumer preferences. When you think about, and you've highlighted again before, that one of the biggest challenges that you think exist is people are changing the way they consume wine, the way they consume tourism as well. So what is within that challenge your most important part that you need? So alcohol, age, so I assume that this will be about younger people consuming less alcohol or less wine, more than alcohol in general. How to anticipate, that's a very important point. And it brings us to an important discussion on understanding the consumer and having data and being capable of, even in your own small business, monitoring that data. Uncertainty, younger generation connection, vodka. That's an interesting challenge there. Very good. Sustainability as well, awareness. So experience, so now I think this is very interesting as well, to how to go beyond, and we're talking about wine tourism, being an interesting tool to attract younger generations to experience wine and discover wines as well. So a little bit on coordination among actors, and we were talking also, and you rate this challenge particularly high. So what is the most difficult part of getting the actors together? I love that, egos. Very true. Trust, very important. How do you build trust? How people trust the process? How can the process or the discussions be transparent enough so that trust exists, information is shared, everyone has a voice and can speak, because you need to listen to build trust. Dialogue, there you go. How do you create an ongoing dialogue, coordination, time? I think that's a very important thing. We often forget time, because each of us in our own activities is very much in our own business. So why should we make time for coordination mechanisms, unless we see that there's a value to us and that we have a benefit. It's going to be very difficult to allocate a priority to coordination. Listening, communication, trust, again, business secrets, those should not be shared. Punctuality. So I think there's interesting points on really creating open spaces for dialogue, transparency, making sure that everyone can be listened to. And then again, as you said yourselves, talent and skills development. It is one of the biggest challenges in wine tourism. How do you look at it? Shortage, so lack of people who really want to embark on this activity. Education, passion, that's an interesting one. Weekends, that's also naturally the work-life balance, the fact that we have working hours which are more challenging than in other activities. How can we compensate that? Because we need to give something back to have people make themselves available on weekends, for example, or long hours. Passion, again, commitment, retribution, very important. We often talk about other factors, but this is an essential one. But education seems to be really the big point, which is how to create a skilled workforce. And finally, on digitalization as well, we talked about storytelling today, we talked about digital tools, but digitalization is such a big word, and what if you look into your own business again, and fear, that's interesting. So yeah, so probably the fear comes generally when you don't know the field or you don't feel comfortable. So it's very much how do you give that first step, which is important to surround yourself with people who are experts. Knowledge, again, sometimes you don't need to do it yourself. Need to find partnerships. And I think this is also, for example, in the development of wine routes of destinations, this is where cooperation can help. Because if you have a wine route or you have a mechanism of coordination, then they can help you in some of these tasks and make those available to you. Education again, training, prioritization of messages. It's very interesting. I always do an exercise, put them all and then say, I have to cut more than half of them and just leave 3. And you will go by excluding the ones that are less important so you get your 3 top messages very clear. The mindset as well, to change the way that you look at it, but really I think the core of it has to do with knowledge and capacity and skills. And finally on sustainability, we talked about climate change, but not only climate change, obviously the social component of sustainability. Cost, that's very interesting. The cost of implementing some measures to reduce your water use, issues of waste management, understanding, that's also very important. Maybe the lack of very clear, sometimes easy to understand and go to guidance. The balance between one thing and the other. Ambiguous, which has to do with understanding, so clearly there is a lack of clear guidelines on what to do, the mindset, the use of plastics, and this is a very important point that can be, again, worked in coordination mechanisms so that different players can also implement this kind of measures and start reducing or replacing plastics with other options. The vision, I think that's a very important thing because that's the first point. If you don't want to do it, if you don't have that as an objective, the rest will not come together. So that was all. Thank you so much for your input. I think it gave us a good, you gave us a good feedback of some of the pointers and some of the challenges, and I'm sure that this afternoon in the workshops you'll have opportunity to dwell into them, and tomorrow as well. It also gives us insights to what issues to bring for next discussions and what kind of tools to create. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your lunch, and particularly your wine. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra, for leading this important session. Ladies and gentlemen, before off to lunch, I would like to remind you that this afternoon's workshops will begin at 3 p.m. Please make sure you know the location of the workshop you signed up for. And don't forget to grab a glass of wine at the wine exhibition while you move up to the lunch. I'm sure you will enjoy it with your meal. We will be back in the main conference room here at 4:30 to conclusion and closing ceremony. See you later.